right, welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I'm your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. How's everybody doing tonight? Let's get into the party, but first I want to give a big shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much for coming back to watch this, even though you missed the live party. Guys, that is the best part, so make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it, I might be going live tomorrow. So hit that subscribe button. You will never miss an Indian Jesus live party ever again. Let's also say thank you to my6shirt.com. Whatever your persuasion, they've got something for you. And of course, it is the only place to get your very own The Indian Jesus official merch. Only at my6shirt.com. All right. What is good? We got Melted Mind Media in the building. We got Iridium in the building. Welcome to the party. Good to see you guys. So we have an interesting show tonight. I wasn't really sure. I was kind of scrambling, and then this came out of nowhere. So I actually saw that Richard Dawkins, if you're not familiar, he is a biologist who was one of the new atheist type people. He is going to be on the Trigonometry podcast, and I thought that was going to be today. I was like, oh, perfect. And that's not till Wednesday. So I was looking around in some similar areas, and I don't know how I never came across this before, but there was this live panel with Richard Dawkins and Ricky Gervais about honesty, about comedy, about truth. They talk about a whole bunch of different stuff, and I really think it is a good time. So let's jump into it. As always, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
So we began to chat about...
Slow it down.
I think, and I'm going to start off picking up on one of the topics you mentioned there, which is, I think for many people in the public, atheists have this sort of reputation for being a little bit down in the world and a little bit pessimistic. Are you, I mean, we're living in quite a difficult time in the moment. Are you optimistic people? Are you optimistic about the future?
Already, we have a question. Are atheists optimistic about the future? See, the thing is, it doesn't follow that you can answer any of those types of questions, because all that atheism is saying, I don't know, to the question, do you believe in a God or gods? And so outside of that, atheists are very, 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 very different. Hey, shout out to JR. What is good? Welcome to the party. The $5 super chat, of course, gets Morty his treat. Eat it. There we go. Thank you. JR says, been swamped at work. Keep killing it, Jesus. For you, JR, I definitely will. Thank you. And shout out to Opus, also in the building. Welcome. And while we're at it, make sure you check out Melted Mind Media. Just dropped the link to his channel in the chat. And we got Little Toads. Welcome to the party. Awesome. So yeah, we're just jumping into this panel with Richard Dawkins and Ricky Gervais, and let's do it.
Well, I don't know if I'm optimistic. I don't know. I'm happy. I've always been happy. I've always tried to get the most out of life. I worked out early on that was the shortcut I wanted. I just wanted to be happy.
Shout out again to JR. Thank you for sponsoring the stream.
I did that first and then decided how I was going to sort of make a living. Am I optimistic? I mean, I've got nothing to fear. I look at this a bit like a holiday. We don't exist for 13.5 billion years. Then we exist for 80, 90, 100 years, if we're lucky. And you experience everything. It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing to be alive. The chances of us being here as us, that sperm hitting that egg, is 400 trillion to 1. It's incredible that we're here, you know.
Shout out to the Camcast. Welcome to the party.
And then we die, never to exist again, you know. And some people even get offended by me saying that. They do.
Yeah,
They
I
say
was just about to pause it as I was drinking, and that thought is probably where the moderator's question of, oh, atheists have or have this reputation of being like doomers and all that stuff. It's just because I don't think there is any purpose to life. Just because I don't think you know, we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. Just because I don't think there's any inherent purpose to life, just because I don't believe in a lot of things that religion tells us, that doesn't mean that I don't believe there is any purpose to my life. I just believe I am in charge of assigning that purpose to my life. And because I have assigned the purpose, it means a lot more to me than if somebody else did.
things like you don't know that. No, I'll probably live again. You know, someone said on Twitter once to me, "Why don't you pray just in case there's a God?" And I said, "Why don't you put garlic over your door just in case there's a Dracula?" But I've got
some superstitions are more normalized than others. That does not mean that they have any more bearing in truth.
I've got no problem with praying. It doesn't bother me. I've never been bothered by spirituality. I don't believe in it, but I never. A personal belief has never been a danger.
JR says Ricky Gervais has some base knowledge for a funny English bloke. Yeah, I agree. It's it's really surprising when you have somebody who can both be spot on and be very entertaining about it. You typically have one or the other, and the value of one kind of makes up for the other. But sometimes you get somebody like Ricky Gervais, who's articulate, intelligent, witty, and based. So it's very interesting to see. Completely agreed. And Opus, yep, absolutely. Atheists can definitely be spiritual, as you can see right in front of your face. Do what for a poll? Do people think that? Well, I'm gonna tell y'all, atheists absolutely can be whatchamacallit, spiritual. So we will that's just, it is what it is.
As I say, religion is something else, and not even just religion, but dogma. Dogma is the dangerous bit, and it doesn't just exist in religion. It exists in more and more places now. That cultism, that which shouldn't be questioned. Anything that that's what you want to question. If someone says you shouldn't question this, you've got to question it.
Facts. Anything they don't want you to question, you definitely want to question. And exactly, Camcast. That's exactly where they are starting off. That it's this idea that atheists are arrogant and narcissistic and all these other things, and doomers and angry and all this stuff. And some atheists are, but so are some New York Giants fans. That doesn't mean all New York Giants fans are angry and narcissists. Some atheists are assholes. That doesn't mean that because there's a New York Giants fan who's an asshole, that all Giants fans are assholes. I don't understand why it's so hard for people to grasp that in any general group, but when it comes to atheists, we don't get that. We don't get that nuance. JR says one of the great spiritual guru would be Alan Watts, also English. Yes, shout out. We get a lot of shout outs to Alan Watts here. So shout out to Alan Watts.
Got to question it.
I was going to say, I love that thought experiment about the improbability of being here and the chance of one sperm meeting one egg.
Yeah.
And I love to quote a poem by Aldous Huxley. I think it's called Fifth Philosopher's Song. And it goes, 1,000,000 spermatozoa, all of them alive. Out of their cataclysm, but one poor Noah dare hope to survive. And of that billion minus one might have chanced to be Shakespeare, another Newton, a new Donne. But the one was me. Shame to have ousted your betters thus, taking ark when the others remained outside. Better for all of us, Froid Homunculus, if you'd quietly died.
That's great.
Nice little poem.
But I think realistically, we probably have to be pessimistic, but that's no way to live a life. I think you've got to be optimistic. Otherwise, you're not going to have any chance of changing things to make them better. So I'd say I'm realistically a pessimist, but I live my life as an optimist.
Well, to me, that just sounds like being a realist. optimism to me sounds like, trying to find the best of what could be, and pessimism, the opposite. But a realist, to me, again, just my own lexical definition, you can have your own definition if you like, but a realist doesn't aim to say this is this is totally perfect or this is totally horrible. That, okay, this is where we are and we can navigate from there. So optimism and pessimism is really only an ancillary thing, and just is like, well, what's your opinion? And I'm generally optimistic about the future, but I'm more realistic about the future in the sense that we have a lot to do in order for that optimistic vision of the future to come true. Well, Toe said, you should spouse swap one of the crazy Christian girls. What are you talking about, bro? What are you on?
And like Ricky, I'm happy.
Yeah, and I don't think it's. And I think if I get it right, your question is geared to either are we worried about not existing again, or are we worried about where the world's going? Well,
that's the other part of it, is that if you're somebody who believes in an afterlife, then you're looking forward to heaven. And if you are looking at the world through that, and then you look at somebody else who doesn't believe in a heaven, you must feel like that's a great loss. And for a long time, it is a great loss. But then you realize it's not actually a loss because, in your opinion, heaven was never there.
There's not a lot we can do about it either way. It's not a choice. Are you going to die or live? I'll just live forever. Which I probably wouldn't choose.
I was going to say, why would you want to live forever? Hell no. So let's go to this poll here. Are there any topics that should not be joked about? And we surprisingly got a 71% no. I thought it would be a little bit stronger, only 7 votes. So what is that? That's is that 1 yes vote? So I would put in no. But very interesting. So I'm not even going to address that, because what I want to do is they're going to bring it up, and it's pretty obvious. So we'll come back to this idea, and then I'll ask again and see if any of you guys have changed your minds.
Or I would then regret it. I think the first
Milton.
million years, I'd really be kicking myself. I'd go, oh no, why did I choose infinity? There's no way out.
I quite agree, absolutely agree with that. What's frightening about death is not death itself, it's infinity. It's eternity.
Yeah.
So I want to spend eternity under a general anesthetic.
Yes.
What's going to happen?
Yes. But that's a great point. That's a great point. When people fear death, it's not the dying usually that they are afraid of, or at least the top tier. Like, yes, the process of dying is scary, but I think what's even scarier is the notion of not really knowing. Despite what you believe, you don't really know for sure what's going to happen, and then the idea that whatever that is, whether it's nothing or it's paradise or it's hell, it's forever. We don't have the ability to understand what that means. We don't have our brains weren't evolved to understand the concept of infinity. And so we intellectually get what eternity, infinity, we get what those mean, but we don't really get it. It's like if you don't have kids, then I'm sure you could understand intellectually what it means for somebody else to have kids and have to sacrifice this, that, and the other to have kids. But we will never, ever know the experience of what it's like to have kids. And the same thing applies for any type of eternal situation. Opus says, I think the prevailing idea is that the more serious the topic, the more important it is that we can joke about it. Exactly. That's exactly what I think. Kanka says, people think I'm edgy for not being reimbursed after death. What's that? What's that? Guys, come on. Help me out here.
That's exactly, yeah. And we don't know. But I imagine it's like the 13.5 billion years before we were born.
Okay.
And that was fine.
Yep. Did anybody hate that? Well, does anybody have any, horrible memories about before you were born? No? Okay.
Before we started, I did put on Twitter a call for questions, and I'll be
God.
dropping in some. Yeah, indeed.
Why are you asking for it?
Well, the first question was to Richard, actually, which is about Charles Darwin created the theory of evolution. How did animals change before that?
No, that's not. That's a joke.
I thought that was a serious question. I thought he was seriously asking how. Wow. Okay. All right. Let's.
Animals change before that.
No, that's not. That's a joke. That's a joke, isn't it? That is.
You made that up.
I made that one up. I made
That's a
that
good
one up.
one.
No,
Okay.
that's not.
That's funny.
Yeah, but listen. Okay, No.
If you don't get the joke, obviously they're talking about the theory of evolution, and the theory of evolution explains how animals evolved from the beginning. The question obviously is, how did animals change before the theory, which is a silly question because the theory explains exactly that. Opus said, religions nailed it. Is there any easier promise than one that is only fulfilled when you are dead? Nope. They've got it. And that's why it's so hard for this this mission that I'm on, to build a secular national morality scale, to put it crudely. It's so difficult because I can't make promises like that. I can't promise you an eternity of paradise. I just can't.
That is a joke, but it's no more stupid than some real one. Okay.
Lots of people, when it comes to evolution, we get some dumb questions.
The one that obviously everyone gets, and I used to be frivolous, and I used to do not. Now I just answer them seriously. If we evolved from apes, why are there still apes around? I used to say things like, well, if God made man from dust, why is there still dust around? And things like, but now I say, well, we didn't evolve from modern apes. We evolved with modern apes from a common ancestor, rather like, and I just answer it deadly serious. Like it doesn't help. Then someone.
I could promise it. I just couldn't deliver on that promise. Got to be concise with our language, right? Good catch.
Someone followed it up with, well, I've been going to the same zoo for 24 years and I haven't seen one monkey turn into a person. But I think, even though that's incredibly stupid, we think, actually, it shows what the problem is when people try and understand it. They can't grasp the scale of it.
This is exactly what I was just saying about the idea of infinity. This is the same thing that he's about to say. People can't grasp the scale of how long evolution takes. Same exact thing. And so to a human brain, when you're imagining what is a billion years versus what is infinity years, or what is eternity, there's not any real difference in what you're imagining. You're just imagining, okay, some version of time that's longer than anything else I've ever experienced. We said, imagine dying and asking to speak to the manager. That is some Karen shit. All right, let's get this full.
The problem is when people try and understand it, they can't grasp the scale of it. They can't imagine these tiny changes. No one can imagine 50 million years.
Exactly.
So they do expect the chimp to go, come on, lad, get on with it. And that's because they also give it a will. They think, even non-religious people are trying to understand, they try and think that the giraffe was really stretching his neck, That's the problem. There's lots of little logical problems.
If only getting taller was as easy as just stretching your neck, a little bit of neck stretching every day, you could add on 5 inches.
That hasn't been explained properly. But actually, if I can understand it, anyone can.
And Richard, you must have been asked many stupid questions over the years. Is there a standout stupid question for you?
Yes, well, the one that Ricky just mentioned, but there's also, why don't we ever see a crocodile? They sort of imagine that...
Well, that's a good question.
I think that's a great question.
I would love that.
Question.
I would love a crocodile.
The answer is because they're different species, and species cannot mate. But It is an interesting thought.
I've actually got a crocodile tie that somebody gave me.
How does that work? What image have you got in mind for a crocoduck?
Okay, let's build this together. What parts would be crocodile, and what parts would be duck? We have to think about this evolutionarily. You're absolutely right on what you put, but we have to think about this evolutionarily. So, what are the benefits of having the physiology of a duck versus a crocodile? Shout out to Daniel in the building. Welcome to the party. Says she'll want to catch this live, but I'm introducing my daughter to Indiana Jones. I will be back for the rewatch. Enjoy the show, both Indiana Jones and the replay. Thanks for stopping by, Dan. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the platypus is very close, but not quite. But yeah, I would say that we would probably want a the teeth and mouth and bite strength of a crocodile, that tail, crocodile tail, and the toughness of the skin, but something that could fly. And well, they both swim really well. So it would be like a little raptor thingy. Interesting. Crocoduck.
A crocodile would be a crocodile that would be angry, but he's fucked because he's just got a bill.
Right, yeah. That's like my tie.
Yes.
Why is there
about
not
the implication of that is that there should be an intermediate between every animal and every other animal.
That's an important point. That's important. An important point. He is saying people think there must be an intermediate point between every animal and every other animal, which is obviously not the case.
I think there should be, though. You can get a crocodile.
Well, they can't see that it's nearly an analog thing as well. And I think you've spoken about this before. Your amazing model about if you took a picture of your dad and your grandparents and their dad, at any one point you go, they look alike. But at some point, there's a fish. You know, eventually there's a fish. I didn't see that coming.
And again, the idea being that we can see that if you had a picture of your great-great-grandfather, that you might be able to see like, oh, okay, like I don't look exactly like that, or maybe you do, but you know, I can see the similarities. But that's 2 or 3 generations. We're talking about thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of generations of this stuff.
What you did, you see, you know, it's so that it's the scale. The scale is unimaginable. It's lucky that it did happen because we couldn't imagine it. If it wasn't fact, we couldn't make that up.
That's a mic drop moment right there. If this wasn't fact, we couldn't make it up. Truth is stranger than fiction.
Because it's incredible. It's incredible.
It's perfectly true, but whenever I've done that.
Hey, we got all right. Is it all right, oi? Or is it OL? Or I'm gonna call you all right. Welcome to the party. It said hello from England. Welcome to the party. Good to see ya. We are just checking out a panel with Ricky Gervais and Richard Dawkins. Welcome to the party. Lotso says, holy shit, I'm a relative of dinosaurs. You got it.
It always gets a gasp of astonishment.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais is, I was just saying before you got here that, you know, I mean, I would be a little bit more star-studded by Richard Dawkins on this panel, but the fact that Ricky Gervais has such a good intersection of being smart and funny and witty and the opinions that he does hold, he's just, you know, he's a great dude. And we got Indie Film in the building. Welcome to the party, brother. Good to see you. Good to meet you as well. Good to meet you.
Why? I mean, everybody knows we're descended from fish, don't they? So
yeah.
The way I put it...
Not everybody.
...is if you could meet your 200 million great-grandfather, you would eat him with a slice of lemon and tartar sauce.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I split. It is the scale, though, isn't it? And is it true we're closer? And I know closer is a non-scientific term, but I like these facts as well that go around that we're evolutionarily speaking. I think they mean in time we're closer to a salmon than a salmon is to a shark.
Yes,
because the elasmobranch to the
that's perfectly.
So we'll go back to that in a second. But Opus, yeah, that was. I mean, has anybody watched any other footage from an award show in the last decade? But that I haven't. That was the. I mean, that was such. Oh, chef's kiss to Ricky Gervais. That was so amazing at the Golden Globes. He went hard.
A respectable thing to say, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that. All it means is that we're closer cousins. That means to say that the common ancestor that we share with salmon lived a lot more recently than the common ancestor that salmon plus us shares with sharks.
Yeah.
So is a crocoduck possible?
Okay.
So long and short of that is that when we talk about closer, the idea is that the species from which a shark comes is further away in time from the salmon than the ancestor for the salmon and the human. I think I got that right. I think that made sense, right?
Okay, listen. I'll take this one.
I'm a psychologist, so
I can answer this one.
Is that a possibility in a parallel universe?
Oh, here we go. I did a podcast with Lawrence Krauss, and he was definitely saying things like that to just wind me up. Just when I started understanding it, he'd throw in something else. I go, oh, well, why are you doing that?
Well, it is true that when duck-billed platypuses were first sent back to the museum here, nobody believed they were real. They thought it was a hoax. They thought that somebody had taken a duck's bill and sewn it onto some other kind of creature. So I suppose that's the nearest approach to a crocoduck, and that is real.
That is real.
But actually,
because it's an early monotremes that it produces eggs and milk, it could make its own custard. But it.
Platypus custard. Oh my god. Oh my goodness.
It doesn't, but it definitely could.
It could. I use that instant stuff, so it could use that as well to get a whisk. Yes. It would be fine.
Yes. It is amazing. I mean, some Australian mammals. It's because is it true that it floated away and there weren't predators as such? So,
there were predators actually,
but they didn't.
They've mostly gone extinct. There was a giant predatory carnivorous kangaroo, for example, which must have been quite terrifying. Oh my! Bounding after you with its jaws agape.
And I just, again, want to stop and point out how perfectly these two gentlemen are providing a conversation that is fun, it's lighthearted, but it's also insightful. They're touching on real things, but they're just navigating between information and comedy so beautifully. Oh yeah, did you see the video of that dude where the kangaroo went off after his dog and he was boxing it? I mean, he won, but he looked like a big dude. And Australians, they're built different,
Yeah. Oh, we should bring them back.
I think so. Yes.
Can we now? You started it, but turned into an idiot on Twitter.
No.
Can we bring back the mammoth? Can we?
Yeah. I think we can, can't you?
Well, I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. Would that be the greatest thing ever?
It'd be amazing.
Can we bring back the mammoth?
There is a serious possibility. The genome of the mammoth is being pretty much worked out, and the technology to actually bring it back isn't there yet. But we've got the genome, and so it doesn't seem totally impossible that you could.
Now, what does that mean? Do you mean you've synthesized something, or you've put together bits of DNA, or the DNA exists and you found it in the elephant and modified it? What does it mean?
That's what I mean. Great questions. The ability to take your ignorance and create conversation. Richard Dawkins just said something. Ricky Gervais says, I have no idea what that means. So instead of just sitting there and letting Richard Dawkins, who's older, he's an academic, he's not a comedian. Instead of letting him just go off on he thought, hey, maybe I'm not the only one who doesn't understand what that means. So let's make this fun. Shout out to Zip Me to Strange. Welcome to the party. Also said you would have to slowly recreate the whole mammoth species, like reverse evolution. Yeah. And then I don't know, like where would they go? What I mean, I guess if we were building enclosures and stuff, but that's a good poll. Is it moral is it moral to, what's the word? To, I guess, recreate the woolly, that's woolly mammoth. Let's see what you guys think.
We've got the. Do you mean you've got the thing that would?
So yeah,
It's impossible that you could.
Now, what does that mean? Do you mean you've synthesized something, or you've put together bits of DNA, or the DNA exists and you found it in the elephant and modified it? What does it mean? We've got the. Do you mean you've got the thing that would make a mammoth if it was?
Well, because frozen mammoths died sufficiently recently, and they're frozen in the Arctic, so that there's plenty of tissue there. You can get plenty of DNA. There's a lovely Hilaire Belloc poem about the frozen mammoth.
That's amazing. 24 minutes in, and I didn't know that Dawkins was this much of a poet, but let's hear it.
Ends up. I can't remember how it goes, but if the skin be, it will make an excellent soup, but the snag is, if the skin be but punctured before it is boiled, your confection is wholly and utterly spoiled. And hence, on account of the size of the beast, the dainty is nearly unknown. But anyway, there it is. It's.
If you don't know the answer, Richard, just say so.
Right, you asked for this.
It's
Okay.
So how would we bring it back? What is the process? What would we do?
The process is that you use the soft tissues of this frozen mammoth,
Right.
sequence the DNA, and that's pretty much been done, with a little bit of filling in with elephant DNA as well. Now, what we don't yet have the ability to do is to implant that DNA into an elephant egg,
Right.
and then put the elephant egg with mammoth DNA.
Oh, I'm stupid. I'm stupid. When he said elephant egg, I was thinking like a chicken egg. I was like, elephants don't lay egg, dude. You're an evolutionary biologist. You should know that. Oh, I'm the stupid one. Okay, like eggs, like fallopian tube type eggs.
Into a female elephant, and then grow the embryo.
So it would be a hybrid at most. It would
No.
How could you see? Oh, so you'd clone. Oh, you'd clone the mammoth and just use that as a surrogate.
You remember Dolly the sheep?
Yeah.
Well, it would be that kind of thing. So Dolly it was a sheep egg, and into that sheep egg was put the DNA of another sheep.
Right.
And then it was cloned.
If a mammoth baby come out, wouldn't that surprise the elephant?
No. So yes, unwanted foe. Shout out to you. The possible repercussions of it could lead to immoral things. The act itself doesn't seem immoral, but potential applications can be. So again, when we're saying like, where are they going to go? What are they going to eat? They don't have a natural habitat anymore. So to bring an extinct species, again, I mean, they went extinct for a reason. I don't know what that reason specifically is, but they're not here anymore. So whatever caused them to die off, and the world kept on turning, if we bring them back, then we would have to artificially create, some type of place, and then again the ability to have them reproduce on their own. So there's a lot there. And I did ask because they get into it, so I don't have all of the answers, but they're gonna get into it. And yeah, exactly. Is there anywhere in the world where we could put an animal that we have to watch that's cold enough for that animal that was around in the Ice Age? You know, I mean, are we gonna have a team of people in Antarctica or at the North Pole, in Greenland or whatever? And then again, too many people, and they happen to be tasty. I mean, well, when you don't have McDonald's, then woolly mammoth is definitely gonna do it for you. Zippy says, unwanted foe, much like moving animals to a new environment, and they become a problem because there are no predators to keep them from overbreeding.
Bingo!
And I'm down with this. Mammoth steaks, oof. Can you imagine like a 75-ounce mammoth steak? I'm getting hungry just thinking about it.
No doubt. Yes, no doubt.
A lot of people have hairy babies.
Tusks and everything.
Yeah. Well, elephants have got tusks.
Oh, that's true, actually.
It's just hairier than the. Yeah.
If you could clone a mammoth, would you do it? Not clone, would you?
I would, but there are many who wouldn't. There are many who think it would be unethical somehow to do this. They think it would be
yeah. So this is where we're going into the specifics.
Cruel.
Why would it be cruel? Because it wouldn't ever be in its natural habitat.
Well,
understand modern technology.
If it was just on its own, I mean, if you
Melt
made
these
lots
down.
of them, there's some people think that we should actually clone lots of them and let them loose on the Siberian tundra to bring back the ecology that's disappeared.
Yeah, that's basically what we were saying, is that the environment, where would they go? And Opus said, I hear yak is good and sustainable compared to moo cow. Maybe we should be raising some yaks. I really want to taste elk. I've heard elk is a very delicate type of meat, and if you get it cooked the right way, like if I could get some Joe Rogan style elk meat, I just have a feeling I would love it. I feel like once you eat something like fresh elk like that, or bison, then I don't know how you go back to just like regular skirt steaks. I don't think you can.
I'd bring back Tyrannosaurus Rex. I'd let it loose in parts of England, to be honest. But
so atheism.
Yeah.
I can remember, and I don't know if this has any resonance for you at all, but I can remember listening to you on the radio, and I can't place this. I know it's a long time ago.
Daniel says, not just that the Earth is warming up again. Where would they sit comfortably for sustainability? Exactly. Like we would, and I mean, one is, we could find space for one. We could have a big ass refrigerator for one. But if we have a whole, if we're building out the species, then it's gonna be a little bit different than just making one refrigerator for them. All right, so
and I would think it's after the initial success of The Office, I think it's Steve Wright, but I might be wrong, and he said something like,
hey, shout out to Zippy the Strange for the $5 PayPal. Here, look. Morty. Oh, come on, hold on. Let me put this down. That's right. Every donation comes with a treat for Morty. There you go. He's feeling sick. That's why he's sitting with me. But we got it here. He's going to grab it as you're going to see it. But thank you so much. Let me add you to the banner. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Opus said, so would we just create it to be a speculate for us to study, observe? That doesn't seem right either. Good question. I don't know. But there could be stuff that we could learn about it that would help, or maybe not. And that's exactly why it's a difficult question. And so he says, containing endangered species is more immoral than letting them die off. I like that. I agree. Yeah, I agree. So maybe we shouldn't bring him back. All right, let me get you in the banner, Zippy. Thank you so much.
You must wake up in the morning and say, thank God for my amazing things that are happening. And you said, why would I say thank God?
Hold on. We're going to have to back this up.
And he said something like, you must wake up in the morning and say, thank God for my amazing things that are happening. And you said, why would I say thank God? I'm an atheist.
Right.
And it was the first time I'd heard the word atheist on kind of public radio.
Well, there shouldn't even be the word, should there? If people didn't invent gods, I wouldn't have to deny them. And it's just...
If people wouldn't invent gods, I wouldn't have to deny them. Shout out again to Zippy and, of course, JR for being the co-sponsors of the stream.
But it's like... I was told when I sort of started breaking America to not mention I was an atheist.
Really?
Oh, 'cause first thing I did on every... First thing I did. Why? What am I going to lose? Imagine not doing something because people hate you because of what you are. That's my only thing I've got. I'm a white rich middle-class man, but at least I'm hated for being an atheist. Do you know what I mean?
Oppression wherever you can get it. Oba said, what if we created Mammoth and it contracted a modern disease, caused that disease to mutate and wiped out all life on Earth? These are the questions, guys. These are the questions that when you first think of it, like, oh yeah, it died, let's bring it back. But it's not always that simple. There's a lot of questions we don't even know to ask around the subject. There's that which you know. There's that which you don't know. There's that which you know you don't know. And most dangerous is that which you don't know that you don't know.
And,
I'm oppressed. I'm oppressed in 13 countries I'd never go to anyway.
Yeah, you won't find me in like Saudi Arabia or Iran or any place like that.
Have you seen a change in your, of the last, I don't know, 20 years or so, about how atheism is perceived?
Well, I mean, you sort of do it. There's part of me that does it because I think I should, that there is someone being persecuted now that might, you know, I can't change the world, but what I mean, maybe someone in a Western world that thinks they shouldn't come out because it's a bad thing, because it's still a bad thing in Western society. In America, they took a vote, America, right? Probably that big bit in the middle of America, but we were voted least trustworthy group, joint bottom with rapists. So.
Yep, you heard that correct. We'll play it again, but first, a big shout out to MJ. It's been a while since we've seen MJ. Welcome to the party. I know you've been working hard. So glad to see you. What did she say? Well, just saw that in 2020, the government allowed the release of 750 million genetically modified mosquitoes in Florida. Wow. That's I don't really know what that means, but we will definitely. Bill Gates had to do with that. That does not surprise me. I don't really. What is that have something to do with the evolution, or what are we talking about? But welcome to the party.
So there's still a thing about.
Oh yes.
The middle of it, because it's what I mean. Maybe someone in a Western world that thinks they shouldn't come out because it's a bad thing. Because
so he's talking about atheists and the group of atheists.
It's still a bad thing in Western society. In America, they took a vote. America, right? Probably that big bit in the middle of America, but we were voted least trustworthy group, joint bottom with rapists. So there's still a thing about, I better not say I'm an atheist, it'll annoy my mum or dad or granddad or school. There's still that. So you do that. Some of it, I do it as an intellectual pursuit because someone asked me a question. I'd rather give the right answer than the wrong answer. I'd rather tell the truth than lie because it's easier, you know.
And this is a real thing. Now, I don't see a lot of people going out of their way to, you know, bring any harm to atheists. I don't see that. But when it's getting tied into political positions, and that all atheists are obviously on the left because this, that, and the other, that's where it gets dangerous. Some just said we now have the first cases of malaria in the U.S. since 2003. No bueno. No bueno. Should we? Yep. Good. Oh, gotcha. There we go. Made the connection. There we go. I missed it. I was missing a piece. You put it in there for you. This is why we miss you, MJ. So, yeah. The idea of, you know, that which we don't know. I have no idea what they thought they were doing when they released 750 million genetically modified mosquitoes. I thought we were trying to eradicate mosquitoes because of how many diseases they carry, but maybe they're not. Maybe they don't have malaria or something like that. But again, if we're getting new cases, then maybe they're catching it from the old mosquitoes. There's that which you know. That which you don't know, that which you know you don't know, and that which you don't know, you don't know.
I think the big thing, people think I run into churches and go, it's all fucking bollocks. I don't care. You know, I don't. But if I'm asked if I believe in God, I'll say no. I mean, you know, the tricky one is I did a film called The Invention of Lying, where I did a scene where.
Have you guys seen that movie, The Invention of Lying? It's a great movie. It is a fantastic movie. It's a little bit kitschy, and it's just like a PG-13 comedy. But it's from like before the age where even comedies had big action scenes. But it's just kitschy little thing, and he's about to tell the story. But if you haven't seen it, it's really, really a good allegory for this whole idea of dogma.
Thank you. 7 people saw that film. Where my mother in that is dying, and it's because I'm the only person in the society who can lie. She says, I don't want to go to nothingness. And I go, there's not nothingness. It's a beautiful place you go, and you're young again. And I invent heaven, right? And
In the
that
movie,
comes from the fact that when my mum was dying, I did face a dilemma. If she'd have said, do you think there's a God? That's a personal thing, and that's I just try and be honest, really.
So MJ says, I struggle to understand where an atheist develops their morals from, as belief in God seems to be attached to basic morals of life, even if someone believed in grass as the God. So real quick, before I actually just answer the concern here, are you saying that it's easier for you to believe that somebody would have their morality come from a blade of grass than from just human history and philosophy and the study of ethics and moral philosophy throughout the last 5,000 years? Because I don't think you actually think that, but that's all it is. There's a lot of moral philosophy. There's a lot of specific ethics that are listed in the Bible. So if you are, or the Quran or whatever else. So if you're a religious person, then those morals are prescribed for you, just like your purpose in life, as I was talking about at the very beginning. But I don't believe that there is such a inherent purpose, as much as I don't believe that there are inherent morals. That doesn't mean that I think anything goes. But that means I've developed my morals from understanding that I'm a person, that other people are also people. And if I don't like, the most basic thing is if I don't like pain, then it's a reasonable assumption that other people don't like pain. So if I don't want pain, then it makes sense that I would live in such a way where I'm not creating others pain so that they have no reason to cause me pain. And so even strictly from a selfish manner, you can be a completely justified moral human being, and there is no God necessary. And the fact is that even those of you who do take your morals from a book, I will bet money that you don't actually believe everything in that book. You pick and choose which parts you like, which is totally fine, which is what you should do. I'm glad that you don't want to stone people to death for adultery. I'm glad that you don't feel that way. But the problem is that you don't see that you're doing the same cherry picking, again, which is not a bad thing, that atheists are doing. Atheists are just doing it from a much wider scope of the conversation. You guys are cherry picking from what's in here. We're cherry picking from what's all here. Unwanted Foe said, hope that was only modification to the mosquitoes. I don't know. Aren't morals just practices that lead to a healthy life and society? Why do we need God to sell that to people? Exactly. And MJ's not wrong. It hasn't worked quite as planned. And what about animals? And you're right. It hasn't worked out as planned because the religious part of society has gatekept morality. And so the social idea is either good and God, or I don't care and no God. And so if you are in a position where you can't believe in God despite having tried, then you're pushed away from those other values. Even though you don't believe in the truth claim, you can still believe you shouldn't hit other people. It's good to value your community. It's good to like whatever else you want to pick. The point is that you don't need God for that. But as you're pointing out, it's not working out that well. We need to have a better structure in place that doesn't have the God, so that people who don't believe in God have that moral structure to hang on to. Oh, I have so many questions. Hey, you know, we got the after party. I want to follow. So the only thing religion adds to morals that I can see is that it's follow these morals or you'll be punished by God.
Bingo!
The Old Testament should be absolute, says Zippy. Obsolete, said Zippy. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where the justification for following all the nice stuff that Jesus said. That's you know, based on the reality of the Old Testament. So if all the stuff in the Old Testament wasn't real, then why are we listening to Jesus in the first place? You know what I mean? MJ said, if we're basing it off the history of humanity, humanity has always had gods. So how do you untangle historical experiences, etc., from the exposure to belief of God? Simply by thinking about it. Okay, if this idea of giving gratitude, that's always been thanks to God, thanks to the sun god, thanks to Ra, thanks to whatever. Can we have that aspect of gratitude? And does that fill the purpose that is it's meant to fill in a religious context out of a religious context? So can you be grateful for what you have without a God? Then you don't need the God. And you just have to literally sit and think about it. There's no easy answers. There's no shortcuts. It's just, what do you think?
And the other is, if someone else's kid, 5-year-old, asks me, do I believe in God? I sort of think, what should I say here? And I say, well, I don't, but a lot of people do. What do you think? You know, I try and, there's still a level of diploma. It's not always my place. You know what I mean? I don't, you know, my house, my rules. If someone asks me something on Twitter, I tell them the truth. It's, you know.
And Richard,
and that takes a level of courage when you know that people are coming at you with questions specifically to try to trip you up, specifically to try to make you look this way or that way or whatever. And that's why this whole thing is about truth. And you know, comedy is part of it too. But the idea of getting to the truth and how do we know what is true? It's very important that we have that process worked out before we're determining what is true.
in the last sort of 20, 30 years, have you seen a change in how atheism is perceived?
I'm not a sociologist. I haven't done the research. I'm not a psychologist, so
I would say absolute. I would only say that the real change has been the normalization. That it's normalized in the sense that you assume that all the lefties and the transes and the thises and the that's are atheists, and most of them are. But that's really the only thing. I mean, as you saw with St. Michael, he assumes that I'm trans or part of the LGBT community, whatever, just because I won't like strike them down by whatever.
I'm not sure. It would only be a subjective impression. The statistics suggest that we're growing in numbers. Obviously in Western Europe, but also even in America. I think the number of people who claim no religion in the United States is now more than 20%, which is large compared to any particular religious denomination. So I think that
the biggest religion in America will very soon be none.
The statistics show that the trend is in the right direction. But as Ricky says, other polls show that we're down there with rapists in terms of public.
I think they have to lump us in with, agnostics, which I keep trying to explain that on Twitter, that they're not mutually exclusive. You know, one deals with knowledge, one deals with belief. And so,
you guys know this.
People say on Twitter to me, it's illogical to be an atheist, you should be agnostic. And I say, well, I am as well.
Don't agnostics get on your nerves a bit?
Yes.
Well, no, because we're all agnostic, aren't we? We're all agnostic by definition. If we accept that no one knows knowledge, I'm being very diplomatic here, but if we accept that no one knows that there's a God or not, right? We might be wrong. We're 99% sure, but let's say we don't know. We're all agnostic. So take it out it doesn't matter. Now we ask about belief. What do you believe? What's your best bet?
But when someone says they're agnostic, isn't it sort of tempting to go, why don't you just think about it a bit more then? Because
Well, I just think that
That's what that's what the attempt is to say, like, well, you know, I don't want to say I believe there is no God, and so therefore I'm not in that camp, because they think that atheism is the claim that no God exists, when in fact it is not. I'm just said, what, the biggest religion in the U.S. can't be non-religion? It would be whatever group is the largest practicing religion, right? You can't be the biggest group if you aren't that group. Technically, you are correct, but this comes from census data. So this is why we are often called the nuns. So on the census, it'll ask, what is your religion? And it'll say, Christian, Hindu, Jewish, whatever, or none. So that the biggest sect of people who, when it comes to their religious affiliation, it's not right now, but I think in like 10 years or whatever it is, I mean, fact check me on that. But the more people will not be religious in America, according to the trends. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball, but according to the trends, more people will be non-religious in America than will be religious in America. But you are correct that atheism is not a religion, and good catch. And thank you for allowing me to explain that.
There's a category mistake. Some people do it because they don't want to say they believe in God, But if you shouldn't ask an agnostic if there's a God or not. You should ask them, do you believe there's a God or not? Because then they can't say I don't know, because that doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back to that, but yeah, exactly, Opus. Not religious doesn't necessarily mean atheist. Absolutely, it just means because remember, there's a difference between belief and faith and religion. So you can believe in God without being religious, but and I think that maybe is muddying what what I was saying about like that the nuns, as I say, will be the biggest group, whereas the atheists won't be. I think it'll be what Opus is talking about, non-religious people who aren't necessarily atheists. Yeah, facts.
What do you mean? You don't know whether you believe or not, right?
Yeah, I want to back that up here.
If there's a God or not, believe in God, But if you shouldn't ask an agnostic if there's a God or not. You should ask them, do you believe there's a God or not?
So if you ask if they believe, then you can say, I don't know. But if you say, do you believe there's a God? You can't say, I don't know. You either believe or you don't believe.
Because then they can't say, I don't know, because that doesn't make sense. What do you mean? You don't know whether you believe or not, right? So
that's right.
Yeah.
I think the really sick-making thing is people who think because they're agnostic and we can't know for sure, therefore the likelihood is 50-50.
Yeah,
very different. I mean, it's I'm agnostic, but I believe that the likelihood is about 1% or less.
Right. So and that's a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people use agnostic as this, well, I'm 50-50, I don't really know, I don't know. None of us know. That's the point of what they're talking about, and that's why we talk about what do we believe, because none of us know. But I'm just as agnostic as anybody else, that because I leave open the possibility that a God could exist. That possibility is very, 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 very small, but only because I'm not omniscient and I don't know everything about the universe. But everything that I've done in my study, in my experience, and talking to people who have done a lot more reading and had a lot more experiences in this realm than I have all led me to the same conclusion.
That's not really agnostic, is it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, if we accept that we don't know,
absolutely,
if it's a default, we don't know, no one's come back from heaven, no one's proved it. You can't prove the non-existence of something, and why would you? The periodic table of non-existent things is infinite, It's like...
Good point.
So if we accept that, that's a knowledge, that's a category of knowledge. But if you just say, what do you believe? You have to step up to the plate. You have to say what you believe. And if you don't believe in any God, right, you're an atheist. That's the other misconception. People think that atheism is denying the existence of God, right? It's not. It's just not accepting the claim that there is a God.
Exactly. And I only didn't bring it up because I knew that they were going to say that. But again, I will always take the opportunity to say the difference between what people think atheism is, whether they believe that it's a religion, whether they think that it's a claim, whether they think that it's anything else. It is simply It is simply the answer no to the question, do you have an affirmative belief in any God or gods? That's where it starts. That's where it ends. That's it. Zippy said, many have tunnel vision on God as a honed and defined thing. In my opinion, an agnostic has a much greater faith than an atheist. Depends on if you mean an agnostic theist. Because again, we're all agnostic in about what they believe. But I think that's what you mean. MJ says, thank you for explaining that non-religion thing. No problem. I was like, what the heck? What? Now you're explaining where the none comes from, and I can make some sense. But I like to mess with the government. So I like to just randomly answer their questions. I wonder how many other people do the same. I don't know. I definitely, on forums in school, when they would ask about ethnicity, they never did, like, they never had like half Indian and Chinese where your parents are from the Caribbean. So I would, depending on how I was feeling, I would just put whatever. Sometimes I would put white because I was ashamed of myself and I wanted to be white. Sometimes I would put Asian Pacific Islander. Sometimes I would put other. I don't know how much that matters. So that could be, I hope they adjust for that statistically in their numbers, but you never know. You never know. Oba said, if you do believe in God, you don't want to be wrong. Oh, you're talking to him. I hope there is a God and eternal paradise in the ever after, but the evidence doesn't look good. I agreed.
No.
If there were three doors, which says God exists, God doesn't exist, I don't know.
That doesn't make sense.
There's three doors. It says God exists, it doesn't exist, I don't know.
But you not knowing is irrelevant to where there is or isn't a God.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you've done a sleight of hand there on a category mistake, because one is knowledge and two are beliefs, right?
I've already finished my question.
No, what? No, there's always, I'm saying three is always there. If you had to choose one,
yeah,
I believe there's a God. I don't believe there's a God. I don't know is irrelevant then, isn't it?
Do we get what he's saying there? Because we're already admitting that we don't know. So whether or not you know is irrelevant to the question of what you believe. We all don't know whether there's a God or not. You may believe very strongly that there is, or you may believe very strongly that there's not. But what you know is irrelevant. So when we ask, do you believe in God or a God or God or gods or whatever the way you want to phrase it, it's about what beliefs you hold, not what knowledge you have. Very slight difference. Zippy says, I see. Agnostic used by itself is a much broader term in context to religion. When you say agnostic, it would not lean to a non-standard belief system. All it means is without knowledge. All it means is I don't know. I'm agnostic about whether Morty is going to sit in his chair tonight. I'm agnostic as to how long this stream is going to be. I'm agnostic to what my neighbor is doing right now. This is all agnosticism. In the religious context, then we're talking about I don't know, but I believe there is a God, or I don't know, but I believe there isn't a God. Or rather, or you could do that, or where I sit, I don't know, and I don't believe in a God, but there could be a God. All that stuff. Yeah, I know in my heart, right? I know in my heart it's true. I know it. Do you know?
Crocoducks. So moving on to my Twitter.
Real quick, guys, we got 10 people in here. The party is raging. Can I just get 2 more likes from you guys? Thank you so much.
Twitter questions. You spoke about lying there. What's the biggest lie you've told to impress somebody?
Is that a question that's been submitted?
On Twitter. The biggest lie you've told to impress somebody.
The biggest lie I've told to impress somebody. I don't know. I really, after a while, I realized that, like, it don't really matter what I lie about. I'm short, I'm puny, and I'm annoying to a lot of people, so it's not going to matter. The last thing I could remember is in 6th grade. I remember my brother had a friend who was, well, I mean, my brother was in bands and stuff, but I stole his CD of his friend's band, and I brought it to summer camp and played it, and I told everybody that I was the drummer. That was probably the biggest lie that I've done to try to impress people. And I mean, I was like, I don't know, like 6th grade maybe. What about you guys? Come on, share in the chat. What is the biggest lie you've ever told to impress them? Melty's laughing at me. Any film says, I don't think I've ever told told a big lie to impress somebody. That's a lie. Stop the cap. Stop the cap. Come on. Zippy says, I'm annoying too. Assholes of the world unite. Hell yeah. Hey, we got Trey Williams in the building. Welcome to the party. Good to see you, brother. So I told the kids at my school, my dad was an NFL player. Hey, whatever you got to do. It's all about clout, right? It's all about clout. You're evil, straight to hell with you. Right to jail. And I'm just regarding knowing if there is a God versus those who said they don't know. The laws of the law of cause and what about the law of cause and effect? Regarding knowing if there is a God versus those that say they don't know. The law of cause and effect. I'm not exactly sure what you mean. Hey, we got Kelly Green in the building. Welcome to the party. He said he keeps it 100 all the time. All the time. All right, if you say so. Step the cap. MJ said, I said that my extended family had a horse farm. That's pretty cool. That's not a bad lie. That's not a bad lie. Well, it said I would brag about being on a soccer team when I was younger. Never was on one. We all been there. It's all right. Just realize now that you are just good enough as you are, as long as you continue to improve yourself. Don't sit around and, waste away. But you as a person are good enough.
It's quite a tricky question, actually.
Oh, the biggest I've told to impress someone.
Yeah.
I honestly can't think of one.
Yeah. Richard, is anything?
It must have been some good drawings.
Not only can I not think of one, I'm quite confident there's never been one.
You've never told a lie to impress anyone?
I've told a lie to not hurt people's feelings.
Yeah, that's different, yes.
I suppose that's impressing them because I want them to like me by not saying... So in my example, so can you come to my party? I say, no, I can't. I'm giving blood at the orphanage.
Do we count that? Just real quick, give me a why or a no. Do we count that? Does that count as a lying to impress somebody, or is that in a different category, like a white lie? Like, oh, well, I like fat in these jeans?
Or something. No, because I don't want to say, of course I'm not coming to your party. I hate you and all your friends. It would be a waste. So my lies are usually because I haven't got the nerve to be honest when it's hurting someone's feelings.
They're all white lies.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think I've lied to, like on a CV or something.
I didn't write the question, so I don't.
Sam Shea says the law of cause and effect, very basic, means all actions have effects. Yeah, I understand what cause and effect is. I don't understand what you're asking me. What is the question? What is the information that you would like from me? That's what I don't understand.
Back on me. It could be anything you want.
Yeah.
Richard, there are 3 doors. I believe in God. I don't.
I suppose that works if you say which answer sums you up most. That's allowed, I think.
What, with the 3 doors?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There is no God. There is a God I don't know. I'd go for there is no God because I'd identify with choosing that door. But there's still a category mistake because one deals with knowledge and one deals with belief.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, if we did have that situation, I would go through the I don't know door. But it's still a silly situation because one is talking about knowledge and the other is talking about belief. MJ says, so if the universe was created by the Big Bang, there was something that had to cause the Big Bang. And that would be something supernatural to set off the Big Bang. Okay, how do you know that it would have to be something supernatural? How do you know it's not something natural that we just can't measure because it's before the point in time of the Big Bang? You smuggled supernatural in there. Something had to cause the Big Bang. Sure. Why does it have to be something supernatural? Zippy's saying white lies are different than impressing people, but Little Toe says they're both. I feel like they're different. Because one, you're just completely making fabricating something up. Then that's different than when you're confronted with a situation and you're trying to minimize the damage. Kelly Green says, saying that I have ish to do because I don't want to offend a friend about being around their friends would be different. I'd still say I don't F with those people and be upfront. Yeah, but it's not the same thing. And MJ says, because if there was no universe prior to the Big Bang, there was nothing prior to the universe, or at least what physics is still saying. If there wasn't a Big Bang, then what created the universe? I don't know, but there was a Big Bang. We just don't know what came before it. Same way that you know that I hit the go live button on this stream. You know that for a fact. You would not be seeing my face if I didn't hit that go live button. I did something before that. But just because you don't know what that is doesn't mean that it negates the fact that you do know that I pressed the live button.
Now, the category mistake, you have a background in philosophy, of course. Your first degree is in philosophy. Is that right?
My only degree.
Oh, God.
Your last degree.
Yeah, you made it sound really good. I could have just nodded.
My last degree was in psychology. My long storied history at university. My last degree, my most recent one, was psychology.
Yes, that was my first degree.
That would have been a lie to impress.
Exactly, yeah. In fact, my first degree was biology, which I did for 2 weeks. And then swapped to philosophy. There were 9 o'clock lectures. There was 40 hours a week. I suddenly got to university and thought, I haven't come here to learn. I've come here to join a band. Do you know what I mean? What? And so
that's a category error.
The category error. Got it. Open said, actually, physics doesn't say there was nothing before the Big Bang. That's the great thing about good science. It's okay to just say, we don't know yet. Yeah, nobody's saying what did or did not happen. In the same way that you are not making a claim of what I did before this stream started, we are not making a claim about what happened before the Big Bang. We accept that we don't know how the Big Bang happened. We don't know if even the concept of before the Big Bang even makes sense. We just don't know. In the same way that Ricky Gervais was talking about how we can't fathom the concept, the scale of eternity. We can't fathom the concept, the scale of 14 billion years. We can't fathom the concept of the beginning of a universe because we don't have anything to reference that would be like that. So we just don't know yet. We just don't know. MG said, so do you believe that the universe was created? If that is on, no, like again, I don't have a belief about I don't have any faith in one answer or the other. In the same way, again, bring it back to the stream. So are you saying you believe I was running before the stream? No, you don't know. It could be anything. Does that make sense? If you can't prove it, or if you can't prove it or test it, then isn't that a faith in the universe is here? Then isn't that a faith that the universe is here? No, I can touch and feel the universe. I mean, if you really want to get philosophical, then no, I don't know. I don't have any concrete 100% true evidence that this isn't. I'm not a brain in a vat, and this is all isn't fake. But if we're dealing in practical reality, then absolutely, like you can knock on the table, you can press buttons on that thing. I can take a sip of. So I'm sure, based on my senses, that we are in a universe that does exist right now. That has no bearing on my knowledge of what happened before that. I don't need faith that I exist. I have knowledge that I exist. I'm here. I know that. I need no faith is necessary. Do you have faith that you exist? You don't need faith. You know that you exist. You're a person. If you didn't exist, there would be nobody typing this. So faith is not necessary here. Do you have faith that 2 + 2 = 4? You don't need faith. you can see that if you put 2 and you do 2 more, it becomes 4. This is why we need to separate. This is why it's very important to understand the difference in the category error that the moderator here just made about knowledge and faith. They are not the same thing.
Philosophy was, I did philosophy. Yeah, I got a degree in philosophy, UCL.
Have you ever found that useful?
Well, what? Only that everything is useful that you learn. Any sort of, well, that's not true, is it, really? I suppose critical thinking is useful, but I think I already had it, or I wouldn't have done science and philosophy. So I don't know that it's useful other than it's nice to know stuff. It's fun. I mean, I tick it as one of the best things about being alive, learning stuff.
And that's where, you know, we get into the spirituality, the beliefs, all that stuff of atheists. Shout out to Lars and Rude. Welcome to the party. But this idea about, not having a higher purpose or not, anything like that. You can assign your own purpose, that I just want to learn as much stuff as I can. I have a certain amount of time here. I don't know how much time that is. And my purpose for my life is going to be to learn. Now, that sounds kind of boring in some respects. I have different goals, but learning is fun too. And when you can accept that there doesn't have to be a top-down reason for or that's not a good word, a top-down, what's a good word? There doesn't have to be a top-down authority for everything. Then you can open up your mind to see that, okay, this is a little bit more possible and rational than I thought it might be, with the operating under the reality that the Bible or the Quran or whatever else is the truth. There you go. Justification.
I want to know everything. I'm still in awe of the world. Honestly, I wish this wasn't about me, because I'd be quizzing him. He'd get fed up. He'd go, for fuck, shut up. I'd be asking him questions all the time.
And I would love to hear that conversation.
You know.
And if we turn to your work for that, and in fact, actually, this is a question to both of you. I think what's interesting is that your work is incredibly innovative. So if you take Selfish Gene or you take the God Delusion, it's a very innovative work, and God Delusion in particular. I mean, it came out of a time when atheism wasn't a popular thing to be writing about, and you went for it. The Office, I mean, just phenomenal in particular. I mean, all of your work, but The Office, we just sort of focus on that. Where do those ideas come from? What's the process behind innovation in that sense?
Well, it's very different because Richard's dealing in...
What kind of question is this? This came out of left field.
What's true about the universe, and I'm making stuff up. So I wouldn't put myself alongside scientists. But for me, it's as I get older, all I want to be in art, in comedy, or whatever, is just more honest and look deeper. That's all I want to do now.
We're coming back around to the concept of honesty and truth. And it's not just religion, Zippy. It's dogma in general. Remember, we have to see that religion is one form of dogma. But dogma in and of itself is bad because of this.
That's all I try and do. Am I being... first of all, has it been done before? That's what you don't want to do. You want to keep going, this is new. But I do want to... I am fascinated with honesty and bravery, even in something as lowly as comedy. I think is that the best thing to, and not without consequence. I think people think that sometimes you're just trying to offend for the sake of it. That's too easy. That is too easy.
Screw you, loser.
And I always when people say, "Oh yeah, anyone can just be offensive," I go, "Go on then." Set out an arena and just be offensive. See, you know what I mean? It's a ridiculous thing to say. So that's never the aim. But I am aware that some people will find everything I do offensive because everyone's different. But that's no reason why you shouldn't say it. Preach.
Zippy says, without religion setting the standard and organizing the faith, there'd be no faith, i.e. it would just be another pagan system. I want to, my initial reaction is to disagree with this, because faith is the result of curiosity without knowledge. And humans are naturally curious, and we're always looking to explain things. Even things that are at the cutting edge of science right now, there's things that are wrong, but we accept them as true enough because we've done a lot of science. But, sometime in the future, we're going to realize, oh, that was incorrect. So I think faith is a very human thing, but so is violence. And we create societies and civilizations by being aware of that propensity for violence and controlling it. And in the same way, we need to be aware of our propensity for gullibility and fight back against that. Oba said, that's why we call the left a religion. Because like religion, one of, if not the most prominent core tenet is dogma. You got it. You got it. What the left TM believes is almost irrelevant as long as the followers are dogmatic to the cause. Facts. Facts. Zippy says, yes, but the convo is on faith. Faith is heavily influenced by religion and vice versa. I guess I call faith the feeling and religion the written word. Well, religion is something contained. So faith is the belief. Religion is the structure around around that belief. So the faith is that God exists, but the religion is that because God exists, you should do this, that, and the other, and the Bible it has this amount of value. And it's different than the leftist religion, but it's still an example of these are the rules. You have to follow them. It doesn't matter if they make sense. It doesn't matter if they're true. You follow them, or you're out of the club.
That's the good thing about freedom of speech. You have the right to piss off lots of people at once.
Is that your thoughts as well?
Well, I think that
I'm not even reading, so sorry if I'm interrupting.
to say that offends me as though that was somehow an argument.
Yeah.
Is what's really pernicious. And I think Stephen Fry said, you're offended? Well, so fucking what?
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
That's not an argument.
Christopher Hitchens said slightly more moderately, you're offended? I'm still waiting to hear your argument.
Bingo! But that's what it is. That's what often people have found out now. It's sort of tit for tat, right? Some of it was a rebellion against the first wave of political correctness, where they said, well, if you can't do that, I'm offended by that. Now what? And it was, but it's another form of dogma. It's another form of shutting you down, putting the suffix phobia on the end of something. So that means you can't discuss it anymore. And you've got to be very careful about that. But particularly in comedy, most offense is taken when people mistake the subject of a joke with the target. They think that subject is a terrible, contentious, terrible thing to laugh about. Well, no, but look at the joke, though.
So for those of you who weren't here at the very beginning, our first poll was, is there anything that you should absolutely not joke about? Is there anything, any topic, any subject that you should not joke about, or that it's never okay to joke about? Hey, shout out to Mike. We got Mike W in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. Said comedians are the canaries in the coal mine for freedom of speech. If they start canceling comedians, we are in trouble. Definitely true. And it got scary for a while there, where we were seeing a lot of pushback against a lot of comedians, and we didn't know which way it was going to go. But you had a couple people that broke that mold and showed that you could, Ricky Gervais being one of them, that you could be, just a comedian, and you didn't have to be politically correct, and all be okay. That it's all just a bark and no real bite unless you buy into it. Libby said, wouldn't faith be the belief and religion be the structure, as religion is more hard to find? Yes, sir. You got it.
you know, and they don't. They go, no, you shouldn't joke about so-and-so. I've been asked by journalists, is there anything you won't joke about? And I say, is there anything you won't write about? Because straight away they assume a joke is making fun of the terrible situation or the victim or the... And I don't do that. I actually don't do that. And it's fine if you do. I think humor is exempt from those things, but I still don't.
Who thinks he's going to stay there? Who thinks he's going to stay there? Who thinks, oh, he's already gone. He's already gone. He's already gone.
I still have a conscience when I try and make my jokes bulletproof. Now, of course, you've got to make them bulletproof for 10 years' time, which is a problem.
And is it a question of the audience perceiving where it's coming from, in a sense that, you know, if you're a racist and you do racist material, clearly that's a very ugly thing.
Yeah,
so I think just the joke. I
think the actual, what I mean is, I think people.
I don't know. I mean, during the summer, I think because I've talked about this before, but they recently legalized fireworks in New Jersey, and where they weren't even like 3 or 4 years ago. So Morty was always scared of thunder, but then now every summer, you know, everywhere, you know, they're just popping off every night. So right around this time, and it was even before we started, right around like 7 o'clock. He just assumes that something's going to go down, and he just starts his Chihuahua shake, and then inevitably, you know, his predictions come true. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So he's just, oh God, what's going to happen? I don't know what he thinks is happening when he hears fireworks, because thunder nor fireworks have ever done anything to him. But that's Morty for you.
You can do a joke about race without being racist. And I think people think you mustn't joke about race because they assume it might be right. They haven't looked at it. And some people it just scares people a little bit. And some people are offended on other people's behalves. You see people in the audience looking around thinking, can I laugh at that? Maybe I shouldn't. And you go, well, why?
Why?
And that's why I deal in taboo subjects, because I want to say, well, you can laugh at this. Look, here's an example of something you can laugh at. And I give them examples. And I almost, I defy them not to laugh.
Okay.
Because it's okay to laugh at bad things. It is okay to laugh at bad things. Facts.
Zippy the Strange said, let tragedy cool off a bit. Having some tact is nice, but being nice is not always good. Are you talking about like if something horrible happens? I disagree, because Ari Shaffir is one of these comics who's very edgy in that way. And he specifically tries, when something bad happens, he tries to make the too soon joke. And sometimes they're funny. Sometimes they're funny. And that, I mean, you can be mad about it, but that's the job of a comedian. Mike says, no, there is no going too far with jokes. If a comedian goes too far, the viewers will vote with their money. Bingo. Exactly. It's not for the viewers will vote with their money, but it's also a matter of that being the punishment. Instead of us saying, oh, we have to cancel this person, we have to blow this person up because they said this. No, like as Mike is talking about, people will just, oh my God, this guy was just like, all right. I mean, you know, a little racist stereotypical joke here and there is whatever, but his whole thing was about how black people are this, that, and the other. Then, you know, people are going to hear about that, and people are not going to want to support that. So, you know, I completely agree. We should allow people the respect. We should allow people the respect of saying, you're a grown adult. You can handle some naughty words. And if you don't like it, just don't go back. That's it. But a middle-aged white liberal women love being insulted on behalf of others. That's facts. I'm just said, was it too early for the memes about the sub? What was the consensus? Did we need to wait? Nope. I say if the funnier it is, the sooner you let it out. The funnier it is, the sooner you let it out. And sometimes it works in the other way around too. Sometimes the sooner you let it out, the funnier it is. If you make about a joke about the sub 2 weeks from now, I mean, I don't want you to think of it. But that day you got something, and it's like, oh, whatever. 100 years later, the Titanic's still taking lives. Oh my God. Now, obviously, I'm not a comedian. I'm not saying that's the funniest joke in the world. But the point is, Zippy the Strange said dogs have good hearing. Well, animals in general. If you had 10 to 50 times the hearing, you'd be neurotic over loud booms too. Yes, exactly. Why I don't appreciate the legislature of New Jersey. I mean, I would have loved when I was in middle school, maybe a lot younger in high school, be able to just go to wherever, pick up some fireworks and do whatever. But we always had to like drive over to Pennsylvania, or you had to have a friend whose uncle lives in Delaware and all that stuff. Now that I'm a grown man and I don't care about I don't care about that shit. And then if you've ever been to like a real good music festival, the fireworks there are going to be way better than anything you're going to see on 4th of July or New Year's Eve. So I'm just over it. I'm just over it. We got stuff here. Yeah, let's get back into these. Opus said, ask white comedians, ask black comedians. They will all tell you the 90s was a golden age of comedy, and just about nothing was safe from being joked about. And people were arguably happier. Facts. Definitely. I mean, definitely. Like the whole culture of the 90s was, hey, it's the 90s. Let's encourage that which is not exactly that normal. Because everybody was, quote unquote, normal. And now it's just like, can we just get back to some normalcy, please? All right, let's, okay, we got it. When does legislation actually prevent people from what? I lived in states that ban fireworks and yeah, well, I mean, people are going to get, I mean, you're not going to find any states without drugs either, but that doesn't mean that more people are going to have them when they are legal. All right, where are we?
But you're not setting out to offend.
I'm not setting out to offend, and I think the targets of my joke are valid. I can defend every joke I've ever made. I could even argue that every joke I've ever made is politically correct, but that's another matter. But
I would love to hear that argument.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that matters, because there's a difference between being correct and being politically correct, and it's been mugged and changed, and now it's a different beast than it was, you know. But no, I think you're allowed to joke about anything. It's what the joke actually is.
And sticking with your work for the moment, if there was a weird parallel universe where you could only have written one book or only made one television series or film,
all I got is one mic.
Which one would you be most happy with?
I would be most happy with The Extended Phenotype.
Oh, that's surprising.
Which is the one book I've written for a professional audience, although I hope other people can read it as well.
How interesting. So I thought you would go with Selfish Gene or God Delusion, but
Oh,
you've written those as well, just to remind you.
I'm actually...
The God Delusion was one of the first books that I read in, once I accepted that I was no longer holding a belief in a God or gods. Then, things like Letter to a Christian Nation and The God Delusion, these books were instrumental in me understanding that there was, in fact, now that I'm not tied to the morality structure of religion, that I have a lot of homework to do, that I have to build up my own moral structure. Otherwise, I would have turned into one of these, blue-haired lefty, whatever. And thankfully, I didn't. And hopefully, more atheists can be like me.
I admit, pretty pleased with all my books, yes. I must admit. I think the one... I think perhaps the one where I made the most original contribution is The Extended Phenotype. Okay. I was quite agreeably surprised when you said you thought The God Delusion was, innovative. I'm not sure it's innovative.
Innovative.
Sorry, Paul Robeson singing to me. I've got to stop.
Who?
It's my alarm clock.
Boomer!
Reminding me to take my pills.
Boomer!
I love Paul Robeson.
Do you need to take your pills? Because we can chat on if...
Fine,
okay.
That's fine.
This is going to get good.
See, I think the God Delusion was enormously... I mean, no one was doing books about atheism at that time, as far as I can remember.
Yeah, I mean, before what's his name? Richard Dawkins. Before Richard Dawkins was really kind of putting himself out there, then we didn't really have any public big name atheist type stuff since Bertrand Russell in the like the turn of the century. So I mean, it's not like the idea of atheism was new, but the idea of putting a book out before, especially before Amazon was really a thing. I don't, maybe innovative is not the right word, but it's definitely pioneering. Definitely pioneering for sure. We need 2 more for the heist, guys. 2 more for the heist. Where are we? Where are we? I don't know what that means, but do what you got to do. Mike says, I've noticed more and more atheists are becoming libertarian conservatives because the liberals are becoming woke. Are becoming woke is a religion. The liberals that are becoming woke are acting as if they are part of their own faith. That's exactly it. That's where I am. That's where I'm here. I was, kind of by default would align myself with democratic politics. Again, we're talking about like 2010 Democrats, not 2023 Democrats. I was aligning myself with the default liberal position on most things, just because I thought of the conservatives, Republican, anything, the red states, the right, all of that was so focused on religion that I was pushed into that crowd. And now more of us are starting to see that, well, okay, we just left an extremist religion. Now we're getting into an even more extremist religion, not because the tenets are more extreme, but because people are actually following it more closely. Don't get me wrong. If Christians were actually acting Christian, this whole channel would be fuck Christians. But thankfully, most of you are normal people and just kind of pick pieces of the Bible that are good, which we all agree are good, and live out those. If you saw somebody following the Bible to the T, you also would want them in jail or dead. Shout out. We are the 8th best family in Mafiaverse in the Discord server. If you want to join, it's free to join the Discord. It's free to join the game.
No, it's not quite true, actually. Sam Harris was. And I think...
Thank you, MJ.
But I mean, there's really nothing in any of our books that's not foreshadowed in, say, Bertrand Russell.
It's amazing.
Why I'm not a Christian.
Oh, yeah.
I told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? Because I told you. Mm-hmm.
So on.
And when
but then you mentioned the selfish gene. I think that is more innovative, actually. And I think the extended phenotype is more so.
Okay.
So for those of you who are not familiar with the selfish gene, this was innovative. This was innovative because we look at Charles Darwin, the theory of evolution, and the big standout thing, that the headline is survival of the fittest. And so people were starting to to internalize that and realize, oh, okay, this is how this works. Survival of the fittest, survival of the fittest, survival of the fittest. But we were thinking of it on a macro scale. And what the selfish gene is about is that it's not the fittest human, it's the fittest gene. So we have selfish genes in the sense that they will do whatever the only purpose of our genes is to procreate, to keep that gene going. There's no other purpose that is scientifically built into the mechanism of our DNA, into our genetics, than perpetuating. And that sounds selfish, but from selfishness can come altruism.
Ricky?
I'd probably
Not that I'm saying humans are altruistic, but I'm just saying that's not a bad thing.
go with the Old Testament.
Yeah, I missed that.
Or innovative, actually. And I think the extended phenotype is more so.
Okay. Ricky?
I'd probably go with the Old Testament.
Oh, his favorite book.
Just because of how popular it was and how well it sold.
You did phenomenally well with that.
Just think how rich, I mean, could I do better marketing and I'd do better deals
Yeah.
than those goat herders did.
For those of you watching on the replay, we do have Seabass in the comments. He's doing his thing, but that's all right. All are welcome here, unlike at a church.
I'd have a top US agent, and yeah.
I heard I was listening to a Woody Allen routine, which is the vodka routine. And he said, my rabbi's terrible. My rabbi's terrible. He's giving a sermon. He forgot the 10 Commandments and listed the 7 dwarfs. That was a great joke. Anyway, I digress. If I didn't allow you to agree that your work was with the Old Testament, if you weren't allowed to go, which of your TV series or films would you go with?
Well, I mean, The Office springs to mind again because it was the first thing I'd try my hardest at, and so yeah. Yeah.
Does anybody here not like The Office? Just so I can ban you right now. Just kidding. But does anybody not like The Office? Whether it's, I prefer the US one just because it's, a full thing. I definitely understand some people like the UK version better, but just in general, is there anybody who doesn't like?
What? Oh, hell no.
You've never watched The Office? What are you doing? Oh my goodness. That is crazy. You need to get on that. Opus said, I don't do TV or movie comedies in general.
What?
What is going on? You guys are missing out.
Is it really?
Did you know?
The US Office, I'd choose.
Did you know from the get-go with The Office that you'd got something very special there?
Yeah, I thought it was special. I thought it was different. I sort of came to it with a big list of sort of don'ts more than do's because, it was very late in life. I'd worked in an office for 10 years and I think I was like 38, 39. So I knew this was a sort of second bite at the cherry. So I knew it had to be special and I was happy with that. I could walk away knowing that I'd have done something.
But is it true that when it was exported to America, they got...
Yes, Opus, you are a psychopath for not liking comedy. No, of course not. We all teach their own. I just find it crazy because I like I find there's little areas where I find more comfort than rewatching a sitcom that I've seen before or a funny movie like one of these like PG-13 edgy 2010 comedies not to say that there hasn't been any, but I'm talking like pre-Pineapple Express, because Pineapple Express was really the first blockbuster comedy movie that had actions, like full action scenes. So I'm talking, like just your average, whether it's a rom-com or it's a college comedy or whatever, nothing is more comforting than just curling up. And I prefer the show because, obviously it's got more stuff. And oh man, like I'm only, like I tell you guys a lot. There's a lot of stuff that I kind of just missed out on because my parents weren't really into American pop culture, and so it wasn't really until I was like going to school that that I knew of anything that didn't come from my brother. And I forgot where I was going with that. What was I just saying? I don't know. I forgot what I was saying. Anyway. Mike said The Office on Racism was the funniest. That was a good one, but I mean, that first season was very much, a build, like a tryout. Like you can't say you do or you don't like The Office until you're further on. But that was a great episode. Cookie. Oh, I like a cookie.
Got a different cast and...
there you go. There you go.
We sold the rights for them to do it.
Why didn't they just take your version?
Because there was only 12 and I was too lazy to do any more. And there's a thing over there they want that's syndication. So they want 100 episodes of something. And then the money is exponential because it gets shown in rotation. And and they did 300 and something episodes. So
were your
I was going to make a reference to Community, but I'm going to guess none of you have seen that either.
episodes shown as well?
Yeah, but it was on BBC America, and I think it was the highest rated show on the channel, and it got like 1.5 million. So the US office was getting 10 million a week, and the Super Bowl episode got 25 million.
Yes.
So it's a different beast. It's just each episode. We made ours for about 120 grand. By the end, theirs were 3 million an episode.
Yeah.
3 million an episode for a single cam sitcom? God damn. Camcast says Adam Sandler is bad taste and it's awesome. Can't believe he made Uncut Gems. That was a masterpiece. But he is not done with his comedy stuff and the murder mystery movies that he's done with Jennifer Aniston. They're Adam Sandler. It's not going to be anything deep. Uncut Gems is the deepest you're going to get with Adam Sandler. Not to say it's not deep. I'm just saying murder mystery is comedy, but it's really well done. And it's almost if you liked Glass Onion, or what was the Netflix version of that, where it's like the murder mystery kind of thing. They actually just made a murder mystery, and there's 2 of them. So go check them out. Exactly. Duality of man. Exactly. Hip hop. Hip hop Anonymous. Why you give them all the easy ones? Yeah, you gotta catch up, girl. You gotta catch up. Hey, we got a normal comment. Seabass says Caddyshack was the zenith of comedy, and I would love somebody who to watch that with me, because that's another one that I just missed. I just missed it because my parents weren't into American pop culture, and just never seen it. MJ hates both of them. I can understand one or the other. Because they are both very strong personalities. They're both very them. You can be very Jim Carrey, and you could also be very Adam Sandler. You know what I mean? And I get that you could be like, and see like Unwanted Foes saying Adam Sandler's great. Sucks that Jim Carrey went off the deep end. For sure did. But both. That's fair. Okay. I'll take that. It's guy humor. I fair enough. Movie night tonight. All right, let's make a poll. Discord movie night. I'm down if you guys are.
So it's just it's not even to be compared. I look at it like I sold my DNA, but it's not my it's not my kid.
I mean, I was rather
Again, talking about The Office.
shocked to discover that one of David Attenborough's really major series was redone with an American voice, with Oprah Winfrey instead of David Attenborough. I thought that's utter heresy. I mean,
we're gonna have to retouch on that. But yeah, Opus. There was a movie that either did come out or was supposed to come out where Jim Carrey was playing either Terrence McKenna or Terrence McKenna's brother or friend or something, but some dude who does a bunch of shrooms, and he did shrooms for the first time, and it was so cringe. You might even know what I'm talking about. Let's see if hold on, give me a second here. Jim Carrey, red carpet mushrooms. Let's see. Is it this one? Please don't.
Hey, Jim Carrey.
Okay, so let's see if we can, because they're definitely gonna claim this. But all right, fair use. Let's see, fair use. So what's worse than him becoming an SJW is the fact that is that today? That's Wednesday, pal. Yeah, so he's supposed to play this guy who did a bunch of shrooms, and then he actually did shrooms for the first time, and this is what happened. And if you've ever known anybody to do shrooms for the first time and then think they know everything about the universe,
just there's no meaning to any of this. So I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and
the most
join.
meaningless thing. So I got to talk over it because they will definitely claim this.
And here I am.
Here I am at the most
They're
I
meaningless
admit
thing.
it's completely meaningless.
Well, they say they're celebrating icons inside.
Icons.
Icons, boy, that is just the absolute lowest aiming.
Look at her face. Oh
possibility that we
man.
could come up with. It's like icons. Do you believe in icons? I don't believe in personalities. I don't believe that you exist. But
I don't believe that you exist.
there is a wonderful fragrance in the air.
You don't believe certain icons have the
What?
power to make change, to think differently, to be bold, to inspire others?
That's, I mean, he might, I don't remember exactly what he says, but on this line, I think it would make sense for him to be like, no, of course not. Actors don't do shit. And yeah, she's like, I was not ready for this. I thought we were getting the old Jim Carrey. He took a half an eighth of shrooms in the woods, and now, what are we doing with?
Artistry, you're one of them.
On the good foot. Ha! Yeah.
Didn't know
Shut
that.
it down now.
Didn't know that, CBS. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I don't believe in icons. I don't believe in personalities. I believe that peace lies beyond personality.
Oh, peace lies beyond personality.
Invention in disguise.
Beyond invention in
Beyond
disguise.
The red S that you
The
wear on
red
your
S.
chest that makes bullets bounce off.
That you would wear on your chest that makes bullets
I believe
bounce
it's
off.
deeper than that.
I believe
we're a field
it's
of
deeper
energy
than that. A
dancing
field
for
of
itself.
energy dancing for itself. But you get the point. That to me is more insufferable than being an SJW. Like it's yeah, right, exactly, spot on. But it's just so funny because like these are the most empty, exactly, the most empty people here. And CBS, you're exactly right. There's guilt. There's the realization that you're this privileged person who's been, maybe not doing anything wrong, but preaching about this, that, and the other about society when you had no idea. You had no clue. Yet somehow he went through all that and became an SJW. Can't save them all. Can't save them all. And exactly, unwanted foe. Damn, he sounded like that one kid in high school who tries sounding like a philosopher to pick up chinks. It's that or the guy who was never doing drugs in your friend group, if your friend group did drugs. And we all have done shrooms and tripped and whatever. And like, yeah, it's a very spiritually enriching experience. But it's because you took drugs. You understand that. And it's a mind-blowing experience. But then you realize, like, okay, that's part of my new reality, that realm of existence is there. And then that one friend who never does anything does a tiny bit for the first time. Like, bro, I get it. You don't even understand, bro. It's like bigger than that. That's exactly what happened to Jim Carrey.
But presumably,
Really major. Yeah.
be compared. I look at it like I sold my DNA, but it's not my.
Yeah.
It's not my kid.
I mean, I was rather shocked to discover that one of David Attenborough's really major series was redone with an American voice, with Oprah Winfrey instead of David Attenborough. And I thought that's utter heresy. I mean,
I agree. You guys know David Attenborough, right? With the recent one was Our Planet 2. Deep in the jungles of the rainforest, you can see the monkey is looking for a mate. You know that guy? They dubbed over Attenborough's voice to put Oprah. Why Oprah? Jim Carrey has tried to expose the Illuminati, but they retaliate. That's gonna get you ended up like Epstein, right? Obesity sounds like Winnie the Pooh. Oh,
but presumably,
he does. I never thought about that, but I'm just a little bear in the woods. I would just like some honey. Here's my friend Eeyore and my other friend Piglet. We are waiting here for our friend Christopher.
she just literally overdubbed the footage. She didn't go and remake it all with different.
no,
Different.
I think that
Steve Carell as a spider.
I think.
Yeah, no, they just started again just because Americans want things by Americans for Americans. Ours wouldn't have been big in the big middle bit, you know. It was different. It was different. They did make it differently. It was more optimistic.
I wish we could have heard that. It was probably funny.
It wasn't mine artistically, but honestly, it was much more lucrative for me than my version, you know. So someone on Twitter once sent me, the US version of The Office is better than yours. How does that make you feel? And I sent back, fucking rich.
That is how you handle a troll.
But that happens with TV. Obviously, Americans buy ideas and remake it. It doesn't happen with books. I mean, if an American publisher says, we love God Delusion, but we're going to get Sam Harris to do it, that wouldn't really...
That's true, but what they do is change the title.
Right.
It's extremely irritating. I've
my goddamn button! Sorry. The button. Oh, so I was watching that Our Planet or whatever. That's what it's called, Our Planet. I went to her house for dinner. I was like, oh, when did Winnie the Pooh start doing nature documentaries? That is hilarious. But I mean, Attenborough's been the guy for the nature stuff. Really since like Carl Sagan.
Mega genes.
Yeah, I've actually bought the same book twice because I didn't realize it was the same. And on one occasion, I saw it. You know, on Amazon it says, if you like so and so, you'll probably like so and so.
Same book.
Same book. If you
Really? That's great.
That's Amazon for you. That's Amazon for you.
Fantastic algorithm, because it is correct, isn't it? If you like that.
Yeah.
That's great. So what, did they change your titles? Did they?
I've never allowed it, but many of my colleagues have had the titles changed.
Right.
And I find it unnecessary and really damn nuisance. Matt Ridley says it's because the publishers like to feel important. It's the only thing they can do. And so
I assumed it was marketing, like they wouldn't get that title or certain.
Yeah, they call it marketing.
Yeah, they call it marketing.
Yeah, that's like A and B testing your thumbnails. They're adding this really cool thing to YouTube where you can make 3 different thumbnails for the same video, and whichever one does the best, it'll just show that one. So number 1, that'll definitely get my thumbnail game up, and hopefully the views up as well. Speaking of which, if you're enjoying the party and you want other people to join, all you got to do is share the video. There's a URL right there, or even better, is a share button right below me. You can plaster it everywhere. Let's get this party popping.
Yeah.
So we were chatting beforehand, I was checking with some friends, and one of the questions came up about comedy. And the fact that we couldn't think of many, if any, comedians who were religious. I'm not asking for example. I'm just saying, do we think it's a thing that most stand-ups tend to be agnostic or atheist or?
Can anybody think of? I mean, I know there are specifically because I spent a lot of time in the church, and numerous Christian comedians came to youth group and stuff. But like actual, touring successful comedians. I mean, there has to be, but their act isn't about religion.
I think so. I think that's because a lot of comedians are critical thinkers. I think a lot of them are science-based.
they're intelligent.
Well, I don't want to. Well, yeah. But then, a lot of religious people are intelligent, but they've been got at an early age, and it's like,
yes, there are very, 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 very many very intelligent, very moral religious people. If you ever hear anybody say anything about my opinion to the contrary, they lied. They lied.
Yeah. I think they're braver. Some people, there's still a thing of not saying I'm an atheist because people think that it's a bad thing to be. Parents still christen their kids instead of school because they think it's a respectable thing to do. And
I would imagine that to those of you who take your faith seriously, that would be frustrating. That these posers are coming in and it's like, I guess we're supposed to do this baptism thing. I've never been to this church before. I'm never coming back, but may as well be part of it. And then just add to the number of Christians who aren't living up to what it actually means to be a Christian. No?
Sad, but I get it. There's a couple, though. They don't put it in their act, I don't think. Tim Vine is very devout Christian.
That's true. Yes. But in general, they tend to be, I think, more skeptical or
I think that's because they look at things from all angles and they come up with funny ideas. And
yeah, I would say that the comedian and that is less about intelligence and more about creativity. Would anybody disagree with that?
and I look at the idea, and I think that's what's wrong, and that's what dogma does, is that people try and give ideas human rights, so you leave them alone. And
people try to give ideas human rights, so you will leave them alone. That, my friends, is intellectual cowardice. That is proof that you know that you can't argue for your position, so you just demand it. Oof. Let's hear that one more time.
idea, and I think that's what's wrong, and that's what dogma does, is that people try and give ideas human rights, so you leave them alone.
Boom. People try and give ideas human rights, so you leave them alone. That I don't know if I have heard a better way to characterize that. Beautifully said. Amwan Jafo said, yeah, Gabriel Iglesias is Catholic, but I don't remember anything about religion in his tours. So, I mean, I haven't really, he's more of like a mainstream guy as opposed to like the, Rogan and Tim Dillon and those kinds of things. Same thing with Jeff Dunham. I'm not really fans of them personally, but I do believe you are right. But again, not in the act. His act is very, very clean and whatever. True, you cannot survive in media being a Christian zealot. That is very true. If you want to prosper in media, you do what you're told. Also true. Mike said, Tim Hawkins is the only Christian comedian that's any good. Yeah, and I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule. But yeah, for the most part, it seems like it's because of the creativity aspect and the way that you're thinking about things in a creative way, maybe not necessarily a more intelligent way, but it precludes you from the dogmatic attachment to any one perspective. I think that's a good way to say it.
And you don't have to. You can ridicule ideas without hurting anyone. And some people say
That deserves a round of applause.
oh, thank you.
All right, yeah.
And they found it shuts some people up. If they say that's hurt, you could be accused of racism or anything if you criticize an idea. And it's people jumping in the way of a bullet and saying, "Why are you shooting at me?" And
Another bar. Jumping in the way of a bullet and saying, "Why are you shooting at me?" And this should be very easy for you guys to point out the opposite side. If you're a Christian, it should be very easy to see where the trans community, the activists specifically, are jumping in the way of the bullet and asking, "Why are you shooting at me?" It's the same thing as the bicycle meme where the guy has a stick and he puts it in, or the one from Eric and Andre, I think it was, where Eric, what's his face, is pointing a gun at Hannibal Buress. He's like, "Why did you do this?" All the same thing. Jumping in front of a bullet and saying, "Why are you shooting at me?" It's exactly what those who talk about the war on Christianity. That's exactly that.
it comes back to Richard's point that I'm offended.
That was funny.
That's not an argument. It's not an argument.
Did you guys see that? It was a female comedian, and she was saying like, "Jesus loves me, I'm the better." And then she, I don't know if she cracked her skull. Did she crack her skull? But she just passed out. She was just like making a joke, and then boom. It was, the irony was there. I mean, it was pretty akin to when I was talking to Henry, and I told him that I don't believe that my channel name is blasphemy. And then he heard thunder, and he said, "It's storming," and it just said thunder, and thunder just happened. Oh my goodness! Right when you said blasphemy. Yeah, but you already said it was storming. So sometimes thunder happens in a storm.
It's like me being offended if someone takes the mickey out of maths. It's like,
what?
Go on. Yeah, fine. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You can laugh at maths. It doesn't affect maths. It doesn't affect maths.
Maths. That's the English way of saying mathematics. It's really messing with my timing.
And I'd like asking this of all performers. When you've done a lot of live work, when you go on stage or before you go on stage, do you have any superstitious rituals that you carry out?
No.
Why would you think they would? The entire idea behind doing something superstitious is that you believe that there's a causal connection between doing that thing and the results. So why would you think that if there's no evidence to do a thing, or you would need evidence, that you would need that evidence for that thing to create a better set, and then it wouldn't be superstitious. It would just be, I'm better when I whatever. Need a maths. You don't know about maths? Come on. Everybody knows about maths.
No, I'm not superstitious, am I? Is this a trick?
No.
So if I said yes, I'd go down a vault.
Look at this footage and deny it. No, no, really.
No, I have. I probably have loads of sort of neuroses and OCDs and things like that, but nothing based on superstition. It's worrying that are the audience in? What's the air conditioning like? Is it like someone gonna? Is there a squeaky door? No ice in the drink. Someone's putting off. There's someone. You know.
Okay.
I have all those things, but I have no superstitions. No. What did you mean superstitions, or do you mean?
Yeah, I mean some performers touch wood or wear certain socks or
pause.
Nothing.
Well, I wear the same clothes because I can't be bothered to think about what else to wear. But no, I don't do touch wood.
Okay.
No.
So, no, MJ is saying ritual doesn't always mean superstitious, though, does it? No, absolutely not. And so I think that's why Ricky was saying, did you actually mean superstition, or were you talking about a ritual? I think that is what his clarification was. But so no, a ritual doesn't necessarily, like, I ritualistically pour whatever is in this mug. If somebody wants to pay me, I will put whatever you want in this mug. But I put whatever's in this mug ritualistically before every show. But that's because I like to be hydrated and live loose. You know what I mean? But absolutely not. So a superstitious has to do with faith. That you have faith that touching a piece of wood, pause, is causally connected to your performance. And so without evidence, that is a faith-based thing. So a ritual, a ritual is just something. Disagree. No, a ritual is just something that is done with a regularity or a frequency. It is a ritual that we go to sleep every night. It is a ritual that we brush our teeth in the morning. It is a ritual that we, whatever. That's what a ritual means. Ritual has nothing to do with science or religion in and of itself. But you can have a superstitious ritual. A ritual, something that you do over and over and over again, that is connected to your faith, that it affects something that you have no evidence that it has an effect on. Yeah, wash your hands and sing happy birthday is a ritual that has nothing to do with, wait a minute. So the reason you want to sing happy birthday is because of the time. They say it should take that long to wash your hands. So what does it have to do with being in place of science? It's just a ritual.
I don't touch wood, no.
I'd ask.
No, I don't, no. I burn some incense, say a couple of prayers. That's it, really.
And in terms of changing minds, in terms of getting people to be more skeptical or rational or scientific, both of you enormously influential, but with two different ways. Obviously, you're using comedy a lot of the time, and you're depending more on factual arguments. How does that play out? Is that playing to the same audiences? Do you think it's equally persuasive?
Good one.
Well, I think Rich is more driven in his thing than I am. But what do you think about changing minds? What do you think
I'm known to be not very good at it. I tend to just, as you were saying earlier, Ricky, I tend to just tell the truth. And that isn't always the right way to go about it. Marketing wouldn't approve, I suspect, of just simply going out and telling the truth. I had a rather...
And I can actually attest to that, because when I was trying to build a relationship with my dad, then, you know, religion would sometimes be a topic of discussion. But, you know, as an atheist and him being very religious, there was a big disconnect. And so I was trying to, you know, to not necessarily make the case and take my father's faith away, but just have him understand who I am and what I believe and what I stand for and so on and so forth. And I showed him some Richard Dawkins stuff, and we actually went to a Richard Dawkins event, and it was too straightforward. And it's really true when you show somebody hard evidence that something that they think that is fundamental to them, and it debunks that, you're more likely to drive them further into that belief. And so his thing about just simply going out and telling the truth, you know, sometimes you got to play the game a little bit if you're looking to be persuasive.
Another nice encounter with Neil deGrasse Tyson, who said something like, "You just put it out there. You don't. There's no act of persuasion. There's no act of seduction going on. You just simply say, here are the facts. Take it or leave it." And I had to say, I said I gratefully accept the rebuke, but I then went on to say I'm not the worst of that, and I quoted Alan Anderson, who was then the editor of New Scientist. Who said, I asked him what your policy is at New Scientist, and he said, our policy at New Scientist is science is interesting, and if you don't agree, you can fuck off.
Yeah, yes, that's exactly, yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah, I don't,
Possibly.
in the greater scheme of things, there are probably worse things than people believing in all the different gods.
Yeah, so sorry, much if I missed this one before. Many athletes have little rituals they do before competing in order to help them get their mind focused. And so the slight difference there between superstitious and not superstitious is if they believe that this is again, a ritual, that is the purpose of doing the ritual is that doing the ritual is going to put that, is going to put me in that mindset. It becomes superstitious when you think there's an extra piece. When you think I do this and therefore that causes something else to put me in the zone. That's when it becomes superstitious. You know, if you just like to meditate, if you like to pray, if you like to whatever, then the act of doing a thing isn't inherently superstitious. I mean, praying obviously is, but the act of doing a thing to get you in a mindset isn't necessarily superstitious, even if the thing itself, like prayer, is superstitious. Does that make sense?
It doesn't affect me because I'm free and liberated and safe and but yeah, you can still be annoyed. It's ignorance that annoys me more than anything. Whatever it is, it's not. I
said shit. Me too. For real. For real.
I keep going after religion because that's only one form of this belligerent, willful, and it's not even that. It's you can't sort of help what you believe in. Most people aren't going around thinking this will annoy people or I'm trying to oppress people's rights. They just think I believe in God because that's how my brain worked when I was little, and now I think yeah, there's probably a God.
Or obviously the opposite, that I've spent years and years and years and years trying to validate this belief that I had, though I realized I had no reason to believe it. And in my attempt to find that reason, I didn't find it. Come on, I'm too pretty for this. In my attempt to find those answers by not having any, I realized that either there are none or they are not available to me based on my faculties.
Most religious people aren't crazy. It's something else. Again, it's something, you know.
They're gullible.
And we worry about the people who believe the bad bits. in their holy book, as well as the good bits. Most nice people who believe in God, they can tell the difference. They know the nice bits. They cherry pick and they know the nice bits from the bad bits. They don't do the bad bits. And my point is,
and let's point out that that is a good thing. We want them to throw out the bad bits. We don't want people to be following the Bible to a T, because the Bible is a horrible, 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 evil, cruel way of living, or if we were to live by it. So it's good that people take the nice bits and leave the bad bits.
if you know the bad bits from the good bits, you don't need the holy book. You know, you're already a moral person.
What I've been telling you guys. If you are, you like St. Michael was saying, oh, morality is subjective. You think morality is subjective? Oh my God, I got you. Da, 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 da. But you agree that morality is subjective. You agree because you look at this holy book that you believe is inspired by the creator of the universe, who has the keys to the pearly gates. And yet there are certain things that you're like, nah. Then what do you need the book for in the first place? What do you need the book for in the first place?
And with Afterlife, which I think is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Clearly, obviously you talk about atheism in there, but it's fundamentally about kindness and living a good life, I think.
I think it is. I think the question is, when you lose the best thing about life, is it still worth living? That's what the question starts with. It started with a high concept, really. Imagine you lost everything. You wouldn't care about anything. You could do what you wanted. So that was the comedic, dramatic.
Where did that thought come from?
I don't know.
Losing religion? Man, I don't know Ricky Gervais's past. I'm pretty sure he grew up religious. But that would definitely come from losing your worldview. Losing this belief that there's a God up there. Planning out your whole life. Making sure that everything is going to plan. And is going to give you an eternity of a utopian paradise. I think losing that would cause a little bit of frustration. It certainly did in me.
I think it might have been sort of 2 years of this thing that you got to watch what you say. Like it wasn't to say the right thing. It was to say the thing that was least offensive to most people, which is nonsense. We'd still be in the Middle Ages. We'd still be putting leeches down our pants, you know?
And this is where we get to the core of comedy and truth. We have to, and as the video's title, we have to have the courage to be honest, not just with other people, but with ourselves.
Every scientist committed heresy at some point. Every great invention, every move forward in progress was going against some sort of crazy dogma at some point. And it wasn't that there was more crazy, mad, nasty people around. It was that they weren't ashamed of it anymore in the last few years, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, MJ says, I have returned to firm belief in God. In your life, you might have something that shows you what you need to have that belief. That's what happened to me. It was definitely a journey for me. Well, I'm very happy for you. And I continue looking. I continue having an open mind and an open heart. And I don't understand why God is hiding from me, but I trust me. That would get, for no other reason, that would get tons of clicks. I was like, oh, I've become a believer now. I would do it. I would be honest. And as I have been. And I hope so. But I mean, it's not to say I haven't been on a journey. I'm not putting you down either. But when somebody like me hears that, it sounds like, well, maybe you just didn't do enough. And I'm not accusing you of saying that. I'm saying that's how it comes off to people when you hear something. I know that that was not your intention. But the idea is that if I've spent years and years and years and years and years studying and praying and researching and talking to people and trying to figure these things out, why is God still hiding? Unless you are going to say that, I wasn't being genuine, then, I mean, you can't see what's in my heart. So you could only take my word for it. But I promise you, I swear to you that since the day I was born, when I was in the church, I always wanted to be as close to God as I could. And then as I got older, I felt that I needed to get closer to God because I wasn't that close to God. I didn't pray a lot. I didn't, I believed, but I wasn't really active. And I blame that on how boring the Catholic Church is, but it is what it is. And I got back into it because it was more fun when I went to a Methodist church, but that's because it was less religious. And it was focused on religion, but it was less religious than going to Mass and CCD at the Catholic church. So I was just having more fun. But then when I actually started questioning again, God disappeared. And as Gervais just said, we don't choose what we believe. You can't choose not to believe in God right now, Seabass. You can't choose, MJ, to stop believing in God right now. You can't choose that. You don't have that option. That's not how belief works. And in the same way, I am stuck not believing despite my desire to. And again, like I just told you, as I've told you before, that I spent the last 20 years doing this. So unless you're saying that I didn't do it good enough for God, that giving my entire life, my entire heart to God is not good enough for God, then I guess I'm not good enough. I don't know what else there is to do.
In my day, racists were ashamed, right? Now they're not. Right? So,
again, you're saying the same thing, dude. You're saying the same thing. I did do this, and you are wrong. That didn't happen. But again, I don't have the option to change my mind. I need something to change my mind. This is what I believe. In the same way, you can't change your mind to not believe in God. I can't change my mind to believe in God. In the same way, you can't choose to believe that I have two heads. You can't choose to believe in God or not believe in God. That's not what that is. MJ said, I was angry about church and God for half my life. So I don't think I'm an easy convert, but it's changed for me in the past 2 years. Yeah, maybe not yet. Maybe.
And the backlash was people saying, oh, you can't say anything. And I just thought, well, imagine if you could. You just could. You didn't care about the consequences. You didn't care about offending anyone. Because that we do. We even myself and Richard, who want to tell the truth, we do things we don't want to do all the time because we're worried about it. If we're mugged, we hand over the cash because we don't want to get hurt, right? But imagine if you didn't care about living or dying. That happens in afterlife. You think, bring it on. I'm not scared anymore. So that was the idea. Mm-hmm. If you weren't scared about consequences, if you weren't scared about politeness, if you weren't, you had nothing to lose. And that was the seed of the idea, really.
But then, of course, it becomes...
Wait, I forgot what idea they're talking about. MJ said the scary part is, with belief in God, there is Satan and demons. I know all about that. I had night terrors about Satan and demons. Again, guys, it's not like I haven't tried this. It's not like I haven't tried this. So I'm asking you nicely to please, and this is that nobody in particular, but just in general, please do not say something like, if you just try, or if you just pray, or if you just do this, because I have done it already and it did not work. So either you don't believe me and you think I'm going to continue lying to you, or you're wrong. Or it hasn't happened yet, and it hasn't happened yet. It's one of those three things. I sure hope not, because I've been doing all I can. So what is it then? Where is the God that is supposed to be there ready with open arms if I open myself to him?
It's about kindness. It becomes about overcoming
it becomes
that
about people
feeling.
trying to save you, the comfort of strangers and the people who care, and that's the thing about like grieving and depression. The thing that came out of Afterlife that shocked me, I've never had a reaction like it. Even The Office, I've never had a reaction like it because it was an emotional reaction. And I found out that people come up to me all the time and they say, oh, I lost my mother, I lost my husband. And you think, oh yeah, of course, everyone's grieving. Everyone's grieving this year about something.
Yep.
And the older they get, the more that
Shout out to Akon. We will never forget Akon number 131, baby.
happens. And that was never an intention, but I think people hadn't seen, certainly a comedy, but they hadn't seen something that dealt with grief. That man, he wanted to die, and then I had to make it funny. So, but yeah.
But also this character is dealing with grief, not from a religious point of view.
Okay, so I think they're talking about the movie, The Dimensional Lying, where he's just living a life. There's no such. They live in a world where lies don't exist, and his mother is on her deathbed. And she's like, I'm scared of the nothingness, and he has this fantastical idea to tell her something that's not true, and he actually tells her, "Oh my goodness, actually, it's not nothingness; it's heaven, and it's you see your parents and your friends and everything." And then the nurse hears, and then that's how religion starts. That's the basis of the movie. You guys talking to yourselves here. Definitely is. Come on.
At all.
Well, I wanted that. I wanted a bit of a play on words with afterlife, like he thought his life was over, and he doesn't even believe in an afterlife. He hasn't even got that comfort. So what's the point? And I went down to sort of a nihilist road, and I wanted to bring him out to say, well, there's still a point. You've still got a few years to enjoy everything else. Bingo! That was the sort of philosophical question.
Exactly. That even though this idea that as a Christian, you're supposed to give your life to God and this, that, and the other. And then if you don't believe that exists, there is a nihilistic period where like, okay, well, what do I do? And then you realize you can just choose. And if you're a good person, then even without the threat of hell and Satan and demons and all of this, you will do what you believe is right. You will do what is moral. You will do with what the theoretical God, if he does exist, wants you to do. That, I mean, unless he made you as an evil person, which again, I don't know why he would be an asshole and do that, but I don't have any other answers.
So to answer your original question, I think I am quite positive, and I think I am quite optimistic. I'm an optimistic person. I think it'd be all right. You know, I think it'd be all right if there's a meteor heading towards Earth, 5 billion people to pray to their God, and a few hundred scientists to get Bruce Willis up there. So...
And you talk about...
Let's see. I feel like you guys are talking a lot. Yeah, let's see. Oh, what do we got? MJ is saying to Zippy, well, that is part of the little bits that I don't like. But the universe wasn't built to make things easy for me alone. Fair enough. Zippy responds, the universe is just a bunch of physics. Things bash off each other like a giant pool table. If you infer processes, then everything is meant to elevate you to an enlightened being. Ooh, okay. Seabass says, all we can do is share the truth and hope others will repent. I would replace that with believe the truth, but sure. I think we can agree on sharing the truth and hoping others will pick it up. ZB says, if you go down the rabbit hole, true enlightenment is not much different than going to heaven.
Bingo!
The impact, I think, again, this is true of both of you, the impact on people's lives, that if you say on afterlife, that has a resonance with people.
Well, I think people want to see things that they haven't seen before. And I think this is what happens with marketing and people who are worried. I think everyone sets out with these good intentions. I'm going to do an uncompromised thing about something. I'm going to say things that's never been said before. And then soon someone says, if you take out a couple of the swear words, we can put it on 9 o'clock. If you change that to so-and-so, we might, and then soon they've It's watered down, and it's you know. I remember once I was at one of my first things at Channel 4, 11 o'clock show, and I did a sketch. It was about there was a thing about people who claimed benefit when they didn't need it, and I played this sort of bigoted, crazy right-wing journalist who would always come down on the wrong side, right? And he was
kind of like the Colbert character. Sounds like.
My character was saying, what you should do is, right, if someone, you know, claims they're deaf, set off a fire alarm and see if they run out of the building. Right, so it was all that sort of stuff. Channel 4 said, can you change that to the blind because the deaf are very militant? So their moral judgment was how many letters they'd have to write. Also, it doesn't work if he's blind because he can hear the fucking bell.
I wonder why they care about getting letters, actually. I've often wondered that.
Because people think that one now is worse. Now people are terrified.
Yep, because now it's about Twitter. Now it's about advertisers. Now all you need is a few hundred people to agree on a thing. Doesn't matter what it is. They agree this thing is bad. And so now we're all going to tweet at this company and all of that. So that is why. Zippy says, evil happens, so good can do better. Without hardship, there's just a world made of weak men. And you know what they say about weak men. Weak men bring bad times. Bad times bring strong men. And strong men bring good times. Bring on the good times. Well, I was going to say something else, but there's no way. Okay. Anyway. I was going to say, bring on the strong men. Zimmy says, I generalize the processes and try to make them universal in the totality of humanity. Well, that's the only way we're ever going to figure things out, is if there's something that works universally for all of us. So this idea of belief in God is good for those of you who can use it, but if it doesn't work for everybody, then it doesn't really work. It may achieve the desired effect, but it doesn't achieve truth. And I believe, talking about faith, talking about beliefs, talking about things that I don't know that I have faith in, I believe that understanding the truth is the way to true morality. Mike said, pastors are scared to teach women to submit in their church because of the backlash, but they sure will get on men, though. I've seen, there was a video that I wanted to put out because you saw there was a Timcast video where from like the Timcast News where they were at a pride thing and they're like, we're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children. And then I want to juxtapose that against a clip from a church where there was a woman pastor or whatever it's called. I don't know. Yeah, a woman pastor. And she was all in rainbow stuff. And there was, I don't remember if it was drag queens, but it was something. No. They were saying a prayer. But it was, and you know how like in church they'll chant like the prayer, whether it's the Our Father or Hail Mary or whatever it is. But it wasn't that. It was like a different version of Our Father that had all this woke trans stuff in it. I saved it somewhere. I'm going to try to put that together this week. But oh my God, it will. It like the juxtaposition. It was just so perfect to see. Like, you guys aren't that fucking different. I'm sorry. But dogma is dogma. The only thing different is the content of what you believe dogmatically. Yeah, being sus. Michael's gonna pop in and be like,
Haram! Gay!
If you don't believe in God, you go to hell. Questions? Nope.
Terrified of one complaint, and now you know the hell to rants, particularly the BBC. You know, I've you know, talked people down, like executives, by saying, I'll write the letters. Sometimes they want to know, I've explained the joke, why it's okay, and they go, okay, never a complaint. If I've had a complaint, it's never been upheld. You know, because if you're clever enough, you can it's not just putting stuff out there and trying to offend everyone. It's, you can explain it. Some people just want to be heard.
That's a great way to say it. Some people just want to be heard, and putting you down, somebody who's actually trying to accomplish something, trying to do something, they will latch onto you because they don't have the strength or the fortitude or the drive or whatever it is to create something of their own, but they want to be heard. So they'll go into your YouTube chat and just spam, or they'll go into your Discord and call you names. What was the dude? I don't even remember the dude's name. Yesterday, came into the Discord. What do you believe about this? 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 Oh, hello. Welcome to my home. And then he was trying to be all disrespectful and whatever. And I did maintain the free speech platform. He asked to be banned. So we're 2 for 2 of getting people that we don't want in there out of there without having to go back on our free speech platform.
In my normal job, people would complain. I'd call them back, and they go, "Oh, didn't think you'd call back." They were already happy that you'd called them back. Some people want to be heard because they're never heard, and then people are scared of a complaint these days, and there's no reason for it.
But with Afterlife, how does it feel to get that feedback from people that it's much more emotional? People saying that touched me, that has resonance.
It's great. It's really good. I feel very proud of that because it's just I suppose it's just another little layer to it, and I'd certainly rather that than.
We get 2 more legs, guys. Just two, please. Thank you.
I hated it. I was offended. I don't want people to hate things I do and be offended. I want them to enjoy it. I'm a comedian. I'm not a politician or a religious leader I put stuff out there because I think they'll enjoy it and pay me.
And Richard, obviously your books have had enormous influence on people's lives. How does that feel?
Well, I do very much appreciate getting letters from people who say, "You've changed my life," and I get a fair number of those. I get an enormous number who say that my books on evolution decided them to go into science at school. And only this week I was seeing a doctor, and Australian doctor in the hospital, and he said, "The end, I want to thank you. The selfish gene was what made me take up biology and hence made me become a doctor." I love that. I mean, that.
And Seabass, I would pose to you the idea to read the book, The Selfish Gene. It's not a long book. Read The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins and just tell me what's wrong with it. Just tell me what's wrong with it. You know that I'm willing to have a conversation. You know that I'm willing to say when I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, just what's wrong with it? Zippy says, well, to put it simply, going down the rabbit hole of my generalizations, God is simply belief. Not believing is still a belief. It's only important if you grant it power. No. A belief is an affirmative. I was going to say affirmative action, but like it's something that you engage in. You cannot passively believe in something. You can passively believe in something, but you don't have there is a conscious not believing is not a belief. It is the lack thereof. That's like saying eating air is the same thing as eating food. But it's not. It's the lack of eating food. You get what I mean? Shout out to the second Zippy. Thank you. Mike said, if God gave me the gift of healing kids with cancer, and I chose not to, everyone would be angry at me, and rightfully so. But God does have the power to heal those kids. But I hear, nothing.
That's really a wonderful. And perhaps more relevant to this meeting, the God delusion, enormous numbers of letters from people who say, "You saved me from my religious upbringing. You you articulated something that I felt myself, but could never quite find the words to say myself. I am no longer I'm freed from the shackles of religion, and that I find again hugely gratifying. There are many.
So do I. Now, there is absolutely the security blanket aspects of believing in religion. There are absolutely the benefits there. But the level of shame and guilt and all this stuff that goes into specifically Christianity, or at least the brands of Christianity that I was a part of, were weighing so heavily on me. And I still follow the morality that God would want me to follow. I just don't have the belief. And that truly is freedom that I am choosing. Nobody's making me. At least I don't believe anybody is. Nobody's making me be a good person, but I choose to be a good person. Even if nothing good of it will come. Even if we all just turn into dirt and get eaten up by the worms, then I want to be a good person. And can't say that for all Christians. You just can't. I mean, you know what I mean. Come on.
Who say there are many who write in great distress because they have lost their faith and are unable to break the news to their parents or their spouse. And particularly poignant are the clergy people. We've got a project in America called the Clergy Project, which is designed to help clergy people, clergymen and clergywomen who've become atheists and can't escape because it's the only living they know.
Can you imagine that? Going through your whole life and building to this and going through seminary school or whatever else. And then you're like, oh, fuck, I don't believe this anymore. Hey, shout out to Unwanted Foe for the $2 super chat. No question, no comment, just pure love of the game. Let's see if we can find him. Marty, you want a treat? Marty, here, come. Come here. Come on. Here. He doesn't want it. He's terrified. But he has it, and he very, very, very much appreciates it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Unwanted Foe. Really appreciate that. Thank you, brother.
And so that's poignant when they're stuck. They can only earn their living by going on preaching sermons and things like that. So the Clergy Project does that. And I like to think that maybe I help them.
Let's see what else. We can have disagreements. Stop being disrespectful. Just stop. Like, I don't mind that you're here just running your mouth on dumb shit. I don't care. But just be respectful. That's it. That's it. That's all I ask of you. It's not that hard. This is not how God would want you to act.
As well, people who need to escape and find it very difficult to do so.
I think that's really important, and it comes back to the point we made earlier about ideas not having human rights. Because I think people think when we criticize religion, we're criticizing people who are religious, which couldn't be further from the truth. Because
exactly,
we think they're victims too.
Exactly. What did I just say? Attack ideas, not people. That is what the outspoken atheist is doing. Attacking idea. And I mean, let me not even say that. Let me just speak for myself. Me and people like me are not looking to attack you for your beliefs. We are looking to attack the ideas that we disagree with. And if you are not strong enough in those ideas to represent them beyond, well, God said so, that's your problem, not my problem.
Absolutely. I mean, the word Islamophobia is all about that. It's People think that if you criticize Islam, you're criticizing Muslims. Quite the contrary, they're the primary victims of Islam.
Well,
We're almost out of time, but just before we finish up here, just to turn our attention to the future, you have.
It's so easy, man. It's so easy. I asked you nicely. Why do you have to go and poke the bear? Are you one of these that like, oh, I got big, yeah, oh, I'm so cool because I got timed out, bro. Oh, shit, I did stupid stuff that I knew people wouldn't like, and they didn't like it, and then they didn't like it. I'm so cool. Get a fucking life, you fucking loser.
It's an amazing piece of work that you've carried out. What direction do you see yourself going in the future?
downhill.
Just
Seriously, it's just
awful.
Me too.
Yeah, I've got a bad back. I wake up, I ache. My knees have gone. I don't know. What's the point, really? I want to be. When have we got the head in a jar? That's where I'm on a skateboard. In a jar on a hoverboard.
Shout out to Futurama.
Around 200 years old, right? I want to do more Afterlife. I'm starting filming next week, actually. Afterlife 2. Thank you.
Yeah, now that the move from the red pill people is to pick up Islam, then the feminists are now very what do we do here? And this is the point, that the values, the principles are not there. It's just playing for your team. That's all that we're seeing with that. It's just playing for your team.
I'm gonna do follow-up to Humanity next year with Supernature. And then I don't know, just get drunk.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't know how we can end on a better note than that. Shout out again to Unwanted Foe. Shout out. Oh, hold on. Big shout out to our co-sponsors, JR. And where's and Zippy the Strange with the $5 PayPal. Thank you so much. Technically, it should go to Zippy. But I want us all to be appreciated, and you guys know how much I do appreciate you. And you don't like when I get all mushy, so we're gonna share it. But thank you so much, guys. I really do appreciate you hanging out with me. Big shout out to the sponsors of the stream, and apparently it's movie night in Discord. So make sure you join up. And I guess, are we watching The Invention of Lying? Or are we watching something else? I don't know. Head over there to find out. That is right where we are going. Thank you. Again, Morty is sleeping right under the table because he is terrified. But I have been your host, Lutch, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Thank you so much, guys. Until next time, I am out of here. Peace.